Chapter 1343, Gigantic Hand Falling from Heaven. Lin Feng glanced at the old man who had moved away and walked towards Jing Yun. His sword Qi Ili broke the chains. "Are you all right?" asked Lin Feng, caressing Jing Yun's head and smiling in a resplendent way. Jing Yun was silently staring at him, seemingly speechless. Mo Yunyao, who was next to Jing Yun, took a deep breath. He felt crushed. Why wasn't he like that guy? Why wasn't he strong? Why wasn't he able to protect the girl he loved? "Jing Yun, you have nothing to do with those people, so tell me what I should do to them," said Lin Feng calmly. Jing Yun glanced at Mo Yunyao and then at the crowd behind and said, "Yunyao and I know each other, but it has nothing to do with you. But to protect yourselves, you chained him and I here, willingly submitting to Narong Yu. Since you're merciless, don't blame me for doing the same. Lin Feng, if you can, I don't want to see any of them anymore." Lin Feng looked at Jing Yun, surprised. She used to be so pure and gentle, and now she had gotten used to the cruelty of the cultivation world. Of course, it was a good thing for Jing Yun because she had become stronger from it. Lin Feng's Tianji sword appeared, lightning striking the ground, crackling sounds resonating with the thunder. "Your Excellency, even though the Mo clan hasn't been that nice, there's no reason to be cruel," said Mo Yangfeng after he sensed the terrifying energies from the Tianji sword. "Die," said Lin Feng. Slash, the Tianji sword released empty space energies and moved with the speed of lightning. "Piss off," shouted Mo Yangfeng, punching the air in the direction of the sword. His level 3 ice abstruse energies seemed capable of freezing anything. "Lacerate," shouted Lin Feng furiously. The soul of the Tianji sword condensed, meaning Lin Feng and his sword were in perfect fusion. The Tianji sword emitted buzzing sounds and its energies moved straight at Mo Yangfeng. "No!" shouted Mo Yangfeng furiously. He released his spirit, but the Tianji sword released empty space energies and a hole appeared above Mo Yangfeng. The sword came out of that hole and moved straight towards his third eye. Mo Yangfeng immediately died. He had hoped the Narong clan would forgive him and hoped Jing Yun would die. She was only a cultivator at the top of the Xianqi layer, which was a really low cultivation level in the empire, but because of her strong friends, he didn't stand a chance. People's faces turned deathly pale when they saw that Lin Feng had killed Mo Yangfeng directly. Slash, 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 the Tianji sword continued moving along, killing people one after the other. The Tianji sword could easily kill people of the 3rd Zunqi layer and below. It was a massacre. That young man was way too strong. Jing Yun wasn't surprised, she knew who Lin Feng was. She wasn't surprised that he had become so strong already. Mo Yunyao looked at the blood flowing on the ground, gulping down. Even though he hated those people, they still shared the same blood. He felt sad watching them die. The Narong clan didn't do anything. "Narong, you just watched as Lin Feng killed those people one after another." He was even smiling coldly. He asked the 2 people on his sides, using telepathy, if they could deal with Lin Feng. They confirmed that they could. They were the strongest cultivators from the Narong clan after all. They had both broken through to the 4th Zunqi layer, so they could also easily destroy the Mo clan. Even though Lin Feng's Tianji sword was powerful and had level 3 abstruse energies, their abstruse energies were level 4, so Lin Feng couldn't compete with them. One level of difference was already quite a big deal. In the end, the Tianji sword broke Mo Yunyao's chains as well, and Lin Feng said, "I'll ask you one question which you must reply to. Will you blame Jing Yun?" Jing Yun had said she wanted them all to die. Mo Yunyao looked petrified. He glanced at her and shook his head. "How could I? I wish they hadn't died, but what they did to her was wrong." "It's good that you think that way, you can blame me anyways. If you want to avenge your clan's destruction, you can find me in the future," said Lin Feng to Mo Yunyao. Jing Yun was disappointed, but still smiled. Mo Yunyao was already good to her. Since Duan Feng left, Mo Yunyao had protected her the entire time, otherwise, she would have died a few times already. She knew that Lin Feng was only a friend, or a brother, but she still missed him. "Are you done talking shit?" said Narongyu, smiling coldly. He didn't care about those people. Lin Feng slowly turned around, his Tianji sword was humming. Narongyu immediately moved back. His guards could deal with Lin Feng, but he couldn't. Slash! Lin Feng's Tianji sword streaked across the sky and blood splashed. Narongyu was amazed, lowering his head and looking at his arm. Ah! He suddenly sensed the pain spread throughout his entire body. One of his arms had been cut off. "Kill him!" shouted Narongyu furiously. He hadn't thought that Lin Feng would cut off his arm without saying anything. Boom! The two guards immediately released terrifying energies. They hadn't thought that Lin Feng would attack like that either. He didn't care about Narongyu's social status, he immediately cut his arm off. Lin Feng looked at the two guards and moved forwards. In a flash, sword chi rose to the skies and moved like the wind. His sword chi blotted out the sky as it moved towards those two cultivators of the fourth Zun chi layer. Lacerate. Lin Feng used his desolate Xana attack and killed the two cultivators. They were way too weak, unable to withstand a single attack. Lin Feng's desolate Xana was now getting even closer to perfection. The two corpses fell down from the sky. That young man was astonishingly strong. Narong clan looked terrified. Those people were the strongest ones in his circle. Die, die. Narongyu stumbled backwards when he saw Lin Feng walking towards him with his sword in hand. Bzzz, his lion flapped its wings and left. It was a Zun-level beast, so it could transform into a human being, but it fighting Lin Feng was impossible. He had just killed two cultivators of the fourth Zun Chi layer after all. "Those who are still alive, piss off," said Lin Feng. His sword appeared high in the sky again. He immediately lacerated Narongyu as well as a myriad of Ice Lion Knights. Those who were still alive were panicking. On the side of the Mo clan, nobody was left, but corpses. Mo Yunyao looked at Lin Feng with discontent. If he had been that strong, he would have been able to protect Jing Yun. Lin Feng walked to Jing Yun and said, "Jing Yun, how did you end up here? So far away from Shuiyu." The distance between Ba Huang province and Jiuyu was incredible. Jiuyu was even farther from Shuiyu than the Ba Huang province. Jing Yun had only broken through to the Xian Qi layer, so such a distance was impossible to cross for her alone. "Lin Feng, you know how talented Duan Feng was. He quickly became stronger and wanted to see the world, so we decided to travel the world together and ended up here. Then Duan Feng left and I met Yun Yao who took me here." "Where's Duan Feng?" asked Lin Feng. He knew that Duan Feng was extremely talented. "Some people took him away," said Jing Yun. She sounded like she had just recalled a terrifying event. "Who?" "I don't know. Someone extremely strong. A voice was talking to us from the sky, then a gigantic hand appeared and took Duan Feng away." "I don't know where he is," said Jing Yun, recalling that scene. Chapter 1344, Pure Power. A gigantic hand which came from the sky. Lin Feng repeated. That sounded like a terrifying cultivator, a cultivation emperor at least. Why would such a terrifying cultivator take Duan Feng away? "When that strong cultivator talked to you, was he nice or mean?" asked Lin Feng. He hoped Duan Feng was still safe for they were good friends. Duan Feng was a pure and kind-hearted young man. Jing Yun used to be Duan Feng's servant, but Duan Feng had always considered her a sister. "I don't think he was mean. Such a strong cultivator couldn't be angry at Duan Feng anyways, and even if he had meant us harm, he could have killed me easily," said Jing Yun. Lin Feng nodded, he was relieved. Many members from the Mo clan arrived as they were talking, glaring at Lin Feng. Lin Feng had killed so many of their people, he had destroyed their clan. Lin Feng glanced at them and looked at Mo Yunyao. "Can your grandfather keep your clan under control?" Mo Yunyao nodded and said, "All the people you killed were senior officials of the Mo clan." My grandfather and my father were also imprisoned because they didn't want me to be chained. If they were released, my grandfather would be the strongest cultivator of the clan. Alright. Go and release your grandfather. From now on, I hope your grandfather can be the ruler of the Mo clan, said Lin Feng calmly. Mo Yunyao nodded and said to Jing Yun, I'm off. Mo Yunyao then walked towards the Mo Yunyao and Lin Feng looked at him, then at Jing Yun and said, Jing Yun, do you want to stay with Mo Yunyao? If you don't want to, I can take you away. Jing Yun looked at Lin Feng and lowered her head. He's good to me and he risked his life for me. Alright, here are some things you can use to practice cultivation. If you want to give him something, you can, but don't give him everything. After all, Mo Yunyao has many people on his side, said Lin Feng, giving a ring to Jing Yun. I will help you solve the remaining problems. Let's wait until the Narang clan comes though, said Lin Feng. The Narang clan wasn't going to let Jing Yun off after that. Lin Feng didn't have to wait for too long. In the distance, some people appeared riding gigantic Zune-level beasts. There were so many that they blotted out the sky. The beast at the front was a level 4 Zune beast and a middle-aged man was on its back. He looked like Narang Yu, so it was probably General Narang. In Jiu Yu, empires fought and it was normal. Therefore, a general was very important, it was a very high social status actually. General Narang was the great general of the Ice Mountain Empire and he was very famous. He had broken through to the 5th Zune Chi layer with some assistants who had also broken through to the 5th Zune Chi layer. In other words, apart from the emperor, the Narang clan was the most powerful influential group in the Ice Mountain Empire. At that moment, General Narang and the Zune-level beast landed on the ground and looked at the crowd in a despising way. Lin Feng looked at them, inspecting their powerful army. General Narang, said someone in the distance. A person wearing an ice and snow imperial robe and riding a beast showed up. They also had guards and their chi was incredible. Your Highness, said General Narang while bowing respectfully. His Majesty showed up, they must have learnt about what happened as well, thought the crowd. Mo Yunya had already released his father and grandfather, but when his father arrived and saw those people, he looked petrified. General Narang, I also heard what happened, I'm so sorry, said the prince, sounding apologetic. General Narang nodded and said, Your Highness, I need to solve the problem. The general then turned around and said coldly, Lu Yun, go and kill them, said General Narang. Someone on a beast replied, Everybody, get ready to slaughter them. Then, he jumped off the beast and descended from the sky. Everybody suddenly felt cold, the weaker cultivators from the Mo clan were instantly covered with a layer of ice. Lin Feng immediately released energies and jumped towards the cultivator of the 5th Zune Chi layer. Boom! Sword lights appeared and the ice energies that person had released immediately broke apart. The general was surprised when he saw the sword chi. That cultivator of the 1st Zune Chi layer was strong enough that they had to destroy him, otherwise he would be problematic. All the strong cultivators in the air sensed Lin Feng's energies and frowned. However, they were convinced that with a difference of 4 levels and level 5 abstruse energies, they could easily oppress him. The cultivator of the 5th Zune Chi layer was also convinced that he could easily win. Die! More cold energies moved towards Lin Feng. Veu death, said Lin Feng. He had 4 different types of abstruse energies fused together. Slash, the ice continued breaking. At the same time, blood splashed. The cultivator of the 5th Zune Chi layer was cut into 2 and exploded. A cultivator of the 5th Zune Chi layer had just been crushed with 1 sword strike. An eerie silence filled the scene. General Narang was astonished, trying to judge Lin Feng. That sword technique was too fast and too powerful. It contained empty space and wind abstruse energies, so it was difficult to dodge. After Lin Feng killed that person, he continued rising up in the air, looking at the strong cultivators in front of him. Does the imperial power of this place want to get involved too? Said Lin Feng proudly, looking at the prince in a disdainful way. How insolent, said the prince. Even though his guards couldn't compete with Lin Feng, he couldn't help but act upset. "I'll give you 10 seconds," said Lin Feng, looking at them in a disdainful way. "Where are you from?" asked the prince to Lin Feng. "The Ice and Snow Empire," said Lin Feng. No wonder he was so strong. The Ice and Snow Empire was one of the strongest empires in Jiuyu. The prince was shivered. Even his family was afraid of the people from the Ice and Snow Empire. They could easily kill everyone in a medium-level empire such as theirs. "General Narang, only you can solve this issue it seems," said the prince. The general was petrified. Even the prince of the empire didn't dare offend that young man. Chapter 1345, Kiss You Goodbye. Lin Feng was staring at General Narang, sword chi emanating from his eyes. Even though he had only broken through to the first Zun Qi layer, he was incredibly aggressive. Of course, after what had happened with Jing Yun, nobody would dare offend her ever again. Even after Lin Feng returned home. "General Narang, be careful, he has only broken through to the first Zun Qi layer, but he can easily kill people who have broken through to the fifth Zun Qi layer," said the prince to the general, using telepathy. "Thank you for warning me, Your Highness," said General Narang to the prince using telepathy. He looked at Lin Feng and said, "Your Excellency, I made a mistake, let's end things here. Please." He wanted to surrender. That young man is terrifying and he comes from the Ice and Snow Empire. It's no surprise that General Narang is apologizing. Even the imperial family from the Ice Mountain Empire doesn't dare offend him, thought the crowd. "You must apologize to the Mo clan and my friend Jing Yun," said Lin Feng. General Narang looked upset. "Apologize to the Mo clan?" Phew, he took a deep breath, landed on the ground, looked at the Mo clan and Jing Yun and said, "I'm so sorry my clan, my son and I offended you." The Mo clan couldn't believe it. Narang Yu had scared them to death and now Narang Yu's father, the general, was apologizing to them in person. Everything was happening because of that young man who had killed all the senior officials from the Mo clan. Now the Mo clan was regaining their reputation thanks to him. Lin Feng had done all that for Jing Yun. Even though he could destroy the Narang clan, he didn't need to. He just had to convince General Narang and Jing Yun would be safe. General Narang could take care of the rest and tell the members of his clan not to offend her. "I'll leave a thread of consciousness to Jing Yun. If I find out that the Narang clan wants to attack her, I'll destroy your clan." "Now, piss off now," said Lin Feng. General Narang turned around and rose up in the air. The members of the Narang clan remained speechless. They just followed General Narang because if they stayed, they'd only lose more face. "See you soon, my friend," said the prince to Lin Feng politely, and then he left. Lin Feng watched as the crowd left and then landed on the crowd in front of the members of the Mo clan. "What should I do with you for having used Jing Yun?" "Yun Yao," thought many people, looking at him as if begging for his help. Mo Yun Yao looked at Lin Feng and said, "The guilty ones are already dead, the others haven't done anything. Can you let them off?" Lin Feng looked at Mo Yun Yao in a cold way and punched the air. A gigantic canyon appeared in the ground. "I wanted to destroy the Mo clan, but since Jing Yun and Mo Yun Yao are close to each other, I'll let you off. If anyone dares offend Jing Yun again, I will destroy the Mo clan," said Lin Feng. Everybody looked scared and didn't dare glance at Jing Yun. "Jing Yun, I'll leave a thread of consciousness in your body," said Lin Feng. He opened his third eye and a light moved to Jing Yun's third eye. "Jing Yun, are you sure you want to stay?" asked Lin Feng using telepathy. "Yes, I'll remain here. There's a man who loves me and wants to protect me, that's good enough for me," replied Jing Yun, smiling and glancing at Mo Yun Yao. Mo Yun Yao understood that Lin Feng was asking her if she wanted to stay or leave, so he said, "I promise I'll take care of her until I die, I won't let anyone bully her again." "I trust you," said Lin Feng tapping Mo Yun Yao's shoulder. "Thank you," replied Mo Yun Yao nodding, then he said, "Come in and have a sit." "Yes, Lin Feng, come inside please," sighed Jing Yun. But Lin Feng shook his head. He glanced at the members of the Mo clan, giving them one last threatening glance. No, I'm traveling around and only heard about you by chance. Now that I know you're here though, I'll come back, said Lin Feng smiling. He tapped Mo Yunyao and Jing Yun's shoulders, smiled and said, take care. Then, he turned around and left. Jing Yun had a family and a home. Lin Feng was happy for her. Lin Feng, said Jing Yun. Lin Feng turned around and looked at her. She ran towards him and hugged him. Jing Yun was on the tip of her toes as she kissed him on the lips, then she smiled in a resplendent way, turned around and ran away. They'd both remember that kiss forever. Take care, said Lin Feng, turning around and leaving this time. Jing Yun went back to Mo Yunyao and watched Lin Feng leave. Yunyao, Lin Feng used to be my fellow disciple in a very small country. He's always been very talented and has become very strong. I've always loved him more than anything. I know you might be sad to know that, but if I hadn't done that, I would have regretted it for the rest of my life. From now on, Lin Feng will never be a part of my life, ever again. I'll only be your wife. Yunyao hugged her and said, Jing Yun, I can't blame you. If I had met you before, it would have been different, but now, let's have a happy life together. In the distance, someone was looking at them and smiling too. You don't want to leave your little lover, said Yi Renlei angrily at Lin Feng, who had already changed his face again. You're my little lover, said Lin Feng, putting his arm around Yi Renlei's waist and pulling her towards him. But soon we won't be lovers anymore, don't be sad when we split, said Yi Renlei, smiling and putting her hands around Lin Feng's neck. Since it's that way, let's enjoy these last few days, said Lin Feng, hugging Yi Renlei even tighter. They turned around and left, smiling. During the next several days, they made love everywhere, in the mountains, in hot springs, and so on. Lin Feng had the feeling that even though he wasn't practicing cultivation seriously, he was still benefiting from all the sex. Chapter 1346, Shrine Opening in the Ice and Snow Empire. Many had gathered on a gigantic glacier, hoping that they would be able to go there someday. Everyone in the empire would have that opportunity if they grew strong enough. Inside the gigantic castle, many young men looked excited. On the day after, the shrine would open. The snow leader was an exception. Some people even said she was a real demon because the men she had sex with all died afterwards. That night, the surroundings were calm, but many people couldn't sleep peacefully. They were practicing cultivation or collecting treasures to prepare for the shrine. The shrines were not only filled with treasures, they also housed danger for anyone entering. Many people never came out after entering the shrine. There were two silhouettes above the shrine, sneakily entering Yi Renlei's palace and hiding their chi so that nobody could see them. Tomorrow, we're going to the ice and snow shrine, my love. Protect me, said Yi Renlei, sitting on her soft mattress next to Lin Feng. She was caressing Lin Feng and opening his shirt. What is there inside? Asked Lin Feng. I don't know. Last time the shrine opened, which was 100 years ago, those who came out became incredible cultivators and leaders. They're all at least cultivators at the very top of the Zun Qi layer now. Only the imperial family knows what is inside, but the snow leader didn't tell me that much, said Yi Renlei, jumping onto Lin Feng and tearing his clothes apart. Lin Feng turned around and let Yi Renlei give him a massage. Why do you want to go to the shrine that badly? The 12 shrines have existed since the antiquity, and emperors can't enter the shrines. Can you imagine what kind of people can go there? Asked Yi Renlei while taking off her clothes. She was sitting on Lin Feng, her hands were wrapped around his neck. You demon, said Lin Feng, throwing Yi Renlei on the bed and jumping on top of her. He was holding her firmly as he said, do you think there will be a great emperor or a deity? Why do you need to think about that? We'll know when we get inside. For now, make me become your goddess, said Yi Renlei. Then, Lin Feng started making love to her again. It might be the last time they'd make love together. Nobody knew what would happen after the shrine, and after the shrine, they'd go back to Ba Huang and the 100 days would have passed. Everyone was waiting at the entrance of the ice and snow shrine, dreaming about the treasures inside. Even the Ice Emperor and the Snow Leader were there, but they looked solemn and respectful in front of everyone else. "Is everybody here?" asked the Ice Emperor, glancing at everyone, especially the young men wearing imperial robes who stood at the front. "We're all here, I suppose," said the sixth prince, indifferently. "Brother, do you mean that I shouldn't be included?" said Renlei in the distance. Many people looked at them coldly. Lin Feng had killed so many people last time. Amongst the people he had killed, many of them were supposed to come to the shrine. Their clans had assigned them a spot, but since they were dead, their clans had assigned the spots to other outstanding disciples. No woman has ever been in the shrine. "Ren, you're going to be the first one, so of course you shouldn't be here," said the sixth prince. His voice sounded sharp, not hiding his hatred of her. "Brother, is the ice and snow goddess a woman or a man?" asked Renlei, smiling. "All I care about are the rules created by the empire," said the sixth prince. "I understand the rules better than you. Since the ice and snow goddess is a woman, I think only women should go inside," said Renlei, smiling firmly. No matter, she looked excited to be the first woman to go inside. "Are you sure you won't have any problems inside?" asked the sixth prince. "Sister, don't dream too highly, otherwise you'll be disappointed. You're not the first woman to go inside anyways." "Is that so?" said Renlei, looking at the shrine and then at the Snow Leader. The Snow Leader never said that, but the sixth prince didn't sound like he was lying. "No matter if a girl has been inside before or not, it doesn't matter. You're the most determined daughter I have, both you and I are very similar, so I chose you. Many of your sisters are much stronger than you, but I believe you're the best. No matter whether you're a virgin or not, deities don't care about that," said the Snow Leader to Renlei, using telepathy. Renlei nodded, but didn't say anything. A light appeared and surrounded the shrine. Boom boom boom, the gigantic gate of the shrine opened itself. Lin Feng didn't look at the palace, he looked at the lights. It wasn't the Ice Emperor or the Snow Leader who opened the shrine, it opened itself automatically. Who controlled those things though? "Do the other shrines in the other empires of Jiu open themselves every 100 years? asked Lin Feng. "Indeed," said Renlei. Lin Feng was so curious. Fortune Shrine didn't follow that pattern. And why had the meeting of the emperors been postponed? Why was it taking place after the opening of the shrines? What was the connection between the meeting of the emperors and Jiu? Chapter 1347, The Envoy. The Ice Emperor glanced at the crowd and said, "All right, enter the shrine." Bzzz, everyone immediately entered the shrine. This time, 81 people would go to the shrine, and only a few would come out. "My love, let's go in," said Renlei to Lin Feng, and then they entered the shrine together. "That's the shrine?" whispered Lin Feng. The shrine seemed to be more of a symbol, because the inside was more like another world. At that moment, a silhouette descended from the sky. That person was wearing a white robe, their hair was white too, along with a white beard. "Welcome to the shrine, I'm an envoy who will lead the way," said the old man. An envoy? Lin Feng was surprised, it was exactly like Fortune City. Was there a deity in that place as well? Of course, Lin Feng knew that even if there were deities in that world, it just meant that they were incredible cultivators. Renlei, said the sixth prince. Renlei, I didn't want you to come to the shrine for a simple reason, my father doesn't want the Snow Leader to know what there is in the shrine. He's always controlled those who make it out of the shrine. Renlei listened to him calmly. That was between the Snow Leader and the Ice Emperor. The Snow Leader had never been into the shrine, so she wanted to know what there was in it, but the Ice Emperor wouldn't let her have her way. If Renlei obtained any knowledge from the shrine, the Snow Leader would steal it from Renlei, even if she was her actual daughter. Don't you think your life is miserable? Even though you're a princess, you're just one of the Snow Leader's pawns, said the sixth prince mockingly. I'm not interested in your opinion, said Renlei. You're so miserable. I bet you'll die here. Do you think I care about you? You're wrong. I can tell you that I have many enemies, many of which are a lot stronger than you. You're nothing to me and I won't mind killing you. Many people want to kill you, and together, we'll prevent the Snow Leader from knowing what is inside for another 100 years, said the sixth prince. Lin Feng didn't care about what the sixth prince said, he just calmly listened. Are you three listening to what I'm saying? Asked the envoy to Lin Feng, Yiren Lei and the sixth prince. Then, he continued talking, there are 9 floors in the shrine and they were currently on the first one. Actually, it was more like the first world. They had to succeed doing something before going to the next floor. Of course, they could directly challenge stronger people and they'd be able to go to the next level. For example, if they challenged people who were stronger than them by 3 cultivation levels, they'd be able to directly go to the 4th floor. They had to challenge the old man, or more precisely, his transformations. I want to challenge a cultivator of the 6th Zun Qi layer, said the 6th prince, glancing at Lin Feng and Yiren Lei. He was challenging someone who was stronger by 2 levels already. Let's see, said Yiren Lei to Lin Feng. Many people had already started fighting. The old man could transform into 1,000,000 people at the same time, all of whom had different cultivation levels. The first challengers were the Ice Emperor's sons, including the 6th prince. They were all incredibly strong and they already knew the rules of the shrine. Therefore, they knew what to do in there. As expected, the 4 princes won against their opponents. The old man shook his hand and they were teleported to another place. The faster they defeated their opponents, the sooner they could go to the next area. The 6th prince is a strong fighter, he already defeated the envoy who had a strength at the top of the 6th Zun Qi layer. And you, what cultivation layer will you choose for your opponent? Asked Lin Feng. 5th cultivation layer, said Yiren Lei. She had broken through to the 2nd Zun Qi layer, so if she defeated a cultivator of the 3rd Zun Qi layer, she'd be able to go to the 4th floor. Alright, I'll stay with you, so I'll challenge a cultivator of the 4th Zun Qi layer, said Lin Feng. Thank you my love, said Yiren Lei smiling, then walking to the envoy. Mr. 5th Zun Qi layer, said Yiren Lei. The envoy nodded and transformed. Go, shouted Yiren Lei, releasing water energies, which contained marks, at the envoy. Level 6 abstruse energies. Lin Feng smiled. Lin Feng was relieved once he saw how strong she was. He went to the envoy and said, 4th Zun Qi layer, please. Alright, the envoy nodded and turned into a cultivator of the 4th Zun Qi layer. Lin Feng jumped forwards and released demonic qi and used his gigantic holy punch, combining it with the demonic energies. He also condensed desolate abstruse energies. Kaboom! The envoy looked excited. Surprisingly, there was a demonic cultivator at the 1st Zun Qi layer. Not bad, said the envoy smiling. He released ice and water abstruse energies, making Lin Feng feel like he was going to freeze. Is that all? Said Lin Feng smiling. My love, we should go, said Yiren Lei to Lin Feng, then she destroyed her opponent. I understand, said Lin Feng. What an arrogant little boy, said the envoy who was fighting Lin Feng. How strong, said Lin Feng sarcastically. The envoy could easily kill Lin Feng if he wanted, but he stuck to the rules. Die. Lin Feng's eyes turned black as he released demonic energies and intent, immediately corroding the envoy's determination. Lin Feng then punched his head and he exploded. Ha, not bad, said the envoy laughing. Good luck. Then, he shook his hand and Lin Feng and Yiren Lei disappeared. Chapter 1348, Furious Battle. Lin Feng and Yiren Lei moved through space, quickly arriving in another space. They realized they were not alone in there were already many people there. How come? Lin Feng was astonished. The problem wasn't that there were other people in there, the problem was that there were more than 80 people, so there were more people here than they had started with. There were 12 high-level empires in Jiu and each empire had a shrine. Lin Feng and Yi Renlei couldn't help but recall the sixth prince's words. Yi Renlei wasn't the first girl to go to the shrine. He also had mentioned something about having many enemies. Maybe the Ice Emperor had told them some secrets about what to expect. Lin Feng glanced around and saw a girl who looked extremely beautiful and had an extraordinary QI. She was an ice and snow cultivator. All those people are on the fourth floor as well, which means they can defeat people stronger than them by 3 cultivation layers. Lin Feng though with amazement. In Ba Huang province or Jiu, people who could defeat cultivators stronger than them by 3 cultivation layers were rare. Some people had broken through to the 3rd Zun Qi layer. The girl Lin Feng was looking at was wearing black clothes and had broken through to the 4th Zun Qi layer. My love, be careful here. The 5th floor will be even scarier. Some of the people here will even go straight to the 6th floor, said Yi Renlei using telepathy. Alright, replied Lin Feng nodded. What a beautiful girl, said someone who was looking at Yi Renlei. 2 young men approached them looking particularly evil. She isn't the only one, said the other one smiling. There were other girls, of which, most of them practiced ice cultivation. Lin Feng frowned, they had only broken through to the 2nd Zun Qi layer. My love, don't attack them, look at their strength first, said Yi Renlei, when she saw Lin Feng was getting angry. Alright, my love, replied Lin Feng. Where are you from? Asked Lin Feng. Your Excellency, said Lin Feng, but at that moment, the other one released energies and punched the air in Lin Feng's direction. How cold, said Lin Feng. That person had only broken through to the 2nd Zun Qi layer, but his punch was incredible. Fury, shouted Lin Feng. He released demonic qi furiously. He had only asked one question and the other immediately attacked him. Kaboom! The area around them shook and Lin Feng thought his arm was going to freeze. A layer of ice surrounded his body and penetrated into his blood. His opponent's ice skill was more powerful than the Cosmos Burning Sun technique he used in the past. There are so many incredible cultivators here, thought Lin Feng. His blood started boiling and demonic chants. Lin Feng released empty space energies and the ice on his arms broke apart. However, his opponent was already punching the air in his direction again. Boom! Lin Feng released more demonic energies and used his gigantic holy spell. Boom, 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 the 2 fists collided and Lin Feng sensed a coldness invade his arm again. Others around them were excited to watch the battle. The cultivator of the 2nd Zun Qi layer who was fighting Lin Feng had defeated a cultivator of the 5th Zun Qi layer to make it to the 4th floor, but Lin Feng could compete with him. This meant he could have immediately gone to the 5th floor, but he chose this floor instead. Since you don't practice ice cultivation, why did you come here? You must want to die, said Lin Feng's opponent. Die, shouted Lin Feng at the same time. Dragon chants hummed and the ice broke. Lin Feng then shouted, curse. Lin Feng's cursing energies began corroding the enemy's body. Here, shouted Lin Feng, drawing his opponent's attention. His eyes were pitch black, corroding his opponent's determination. That guy gave a horrible shriek and closed his eyes. Then, Lin Feng punched the air in his direction and broke through the frozen space. Die, shouted the opponent. Crackling sounds spread in the air as the opponent's head and his godly awareness exploded into pieces. He won, thought some people. Lin Feng had only broken through to the 1st Zun Qi layer, but he had won. Lin Feng took his opponent's ring, hoping it might have that powerful ice skill. There might even be an imperial scripture. Lin Feng walked to Yi Renlei, looking particularly proud. He glanced at the 2 perverts who immediately turned around. Chapter 1349, Ice Determination. Lin Feng walked towards Yi Renlei and said, the area is closed, so we're stuck here. How do we go to the 5th floor? If the envoy doesn't show up, we probably just have to wait, said Yi Renlei. She didn't know either. It was her first time in the shrine too. Let's sit down then, said Lin Feng. They ran over to a mountain and sat down cross-legged. "Hey," said a young man who was wearing a shirt without sleeves and had bulging biceps. "Are you talking to me?" asked Lin Feng. "Of course, I just saw your battle." "You're okay, but how come you have dragon blood?" asked the young man. "I drank dragon blood and condensed it," said Lin Feng. "No wonder. It's not pure enough though, it's actually polluting your qi," said the young man. Lin Feng looked surprised. "Who's your master?" asked Lin Feng's interlocutor. Lin Feng replied, "Master." "If you don't want to tell me, it doesn't matter," said that person. Then he closed his eyes. Lin Feng wanted to say something, but he decided not to. People in there had their own personalities, even if they were a bit eccentric. Just like the guy Lin Feng had just killed. Initially, Lin Feng had just asked him a question, but then he attacked him. After some time, Lin Feng sneezed, making him frown. He opened his eyes and looked at Yi Renlei looking back at him. "The place is getting colder," thought Lin Feng. Yi Renlei nodded and glanced around. It had started snowing. "Is this a test?" whispered Yi Renlei. Many others opened their eyes and saw the snowflakes. Yi Renlei made ice energies flow throughout her body, using the snowflakes to help her practice cultivation. Lin Feng closed his eyes again and released abstruse energies, as if he was studying. The more ice there is, the colder it gets, but why? Thought Lin Feng. It was an ordinary question that seemed obvious to anyone else. Coldness and heat had no limits, but didn't ice qi come from the ice itself? When ice and ice fused together, it was still ice, but what about abstruse energy? Abstruse energies were difficult to condense because there were of different types. Wind is fast and so is empty space. When condensing wind and empty space energies, you have to consider speed to make them fuse together perfectly. But when you make wind, empty space and desolate energies fuse together, you have to start by making their destructive energies fuse together. It's the same with thunderous energies, thought Lin Feng. He just understood something. He had to understand the similarities between different abstruse energies to make them fuse together perfectly. My Vayu death skill contains wind, thunder, desolate and empty space abstruse energies because they have a common point, destructive energies. Fire abstruse energy also contains destructive energy, so if I focused on that point, I could make fire abstruse energy fuse together with them and my attack would become explosive. Thought Lin Feng. Now he was excited, so excited that he forgot about the coldness. Yi Renlei felt cold, so much so that she was shivering. She wanted to use this opportunity to practice cultivation, but she was getting too cold. She looked at Lin Feng, and noticed his excited demeanor. "What's wrong?" asked Lin Feng, when he saw that Yi Renlei was looking at him angrily. "I'm so cold, my love." "Come here," said Lin Feng, opening his legs and wrapping himself around Yi Renlei. "What about now?" "Much better," said Yi Renlei. But it didn't last long, it was getting even colder. Lin Feng put his fingers on Yi Renlei's lips, noticing that they were covered with a layer of ice. "I can't use ice energies to block the ice, otherwise it'll get worse." "Are we going to freeze to death, my love?" asked Yi Renlei, shivering. "Don't think about it too much, just study the ice and snow abstruse energies in here and it'll be even easier," said Lin Feng to Yi Renlei. "You rock," said Yi Renlei smiling. Lin Feng rolled his eyes and smiled. "Are you trying to turn me on?" "Who else would I be trying to turn on?" said Yi Renlei, smiling devilishly. Then, she closed her eyes again and sensed the cold, but it no longer hurt her. Ah! After a long time, someone shouted furiously. That person was releasing terrifying amounts of ice intent, but his body was freezing into an ice cube. Chapter 1350, Corrosive Ice Qi. People of different strengths sense the energies differently, thought Lin Feng. On that fourth floor, everyone had different cultivation levels. He had only broken through to the first Zun Qi layer and Yi Renlei to the second, while some people had broken through to the third Zun Qi layer. Seemingly regardless of cultivation level, there were some who were losing to the elements. That's a determination test, thought Yi Renlei. My love, we'll win here, said Lin Feng smiling. Yi Renlei nodded and closed her eyes again. She remained in Lin Feng's arms and continued studying the cold energy. Lin Feng didn't study the energy, instead, he blocked it with some demonic intent. Demonic curses were terrifying, just like the true words of the devil and the Buddha. If he managed to make his energies fuse together in a perfect way, for example, level 3 demonic, cursing, and soundwave energies, then he would be able to influence other people and destroy their determination. The similarities between demonic and cursing energies made it easier to fuse them together. Plus, Lin Feng practiced some demonic skills which involved using his voice, so he could also try to use soundwave abstruse energies. If I could control soundwave abstruse energies, my attacks would be terrifying, thought Lin Feng. Lin Feng and Yi Renlei were already covered by layers of ice, though, everybody else was in the same boat. Some people couldn't stand it anymore and froze to death. But there were some who were extraordinary, such as the young man who had talked to Lin Feng. Each time he inhaled and exhaled, ice chi condensed in the air and then he swallowed it again. It seemed like he could use the ice chi to improve himself. The girl in black clothes also seemed unaffected. Apart from them, there was also a young man in white clothes. The falling snowflakes seemed to be scared of him, because any time they came close to him, they subtly moved away. No, shouted someone else, freezing to death. Envoy, shouted that person. An old man appeared and smiled at him. Envoy, why should I die here for no reason, said that cultivator, desperately condensing more and more blood strength. You're not going to die, you're just freezing solid. When the shrine closes, you'll get expelled from here, said the old man. Then, that cultivator completely froze over. The envoy continued, why were you able to resist a second ago and then I just said a few words and you forgot your purpose for coming here? You were not determined. Besides, do you think you really won't die if you freeze in here? Children, you still have a long way to go. Then, the envoy disappeared. Many people contemplated what the old man said. Were they really not going to die? Nobody could be sure. Lin Feng, said Yi Renlei, smiling. She was firmly hugging Lin Feng. Lin Feng, come inside my desire illusion, said Yi Renlei. Then, Lin Feng allowed himself to fall into Yi Renlei's illusion. It was a beautiful world with trees, flowers and birds. It wasn't cold at all. Yi Renlei was standing in front of him, looking stunning as usual. My love, let's make love using only our thoughts, said Yi Renlei, caressing Lin Feng everywhere. He groaned and instantly forgot about everything else. Not far from Lin Feng, the two evil-looking young men opened their eyes and glanced at each other. We're going to die, said one of them. We need to fight or find a girl to get warm, said the other one, glancing at the crowd in an evil way. There weren't many women left, just 4. Even though the one in black clothes looked stunning, they wouldn't dare touch her. The 2 others had broken through to the 3rd Zun Qi layer, leaving Yi Renlei, who Lin Feng was already wrapped around. They glanced at each other, with the same idea. Yi Renlei was the weakest one, but the most beautiful one. Imagine if they were making love in an illusion. Go and capture her, the 2 of them talked using telepathy. Some of the others were also thinking along similar lines, that fighting could keep them warm. But, they didn't choose Lin Feng. Boom, terrifying chi began to clash as those people started fighting. The 2 cultivators of the 2nd Zun Qi layer were also nearing Lin Feng and Yi Renlei. Kill the guy first, said one of them. They immediately threw themselves at them and attacked. Lin Feng and Yi Renlei immediately turned pale, ice digging deep into their bones. Boom! Lin Feng released demonic chi and suddenly opened his eyes. Die! Lin Feng released demonic intent, surprising the cultivator. Lin Feng moved his hand and released sword energies, then blood splashed. That person was instantly cut into 2. At the same time, Lei attacked the other one using her level 6 ice and snow abstruse energies. That person shivered before turning into an ice statue. Cough. Lei coughed, her face turning pale. While they were making love in the illusion, they had been interrupted. The ice sunk in deep, hurting her and her godly awareness. Chapter 1351, Fifth Floor, Are You Alright? Lin Feng's silhouette flickered as he ran towards Lei. I'm so cold, said Lei, forcing a smiling. She didn't want Lin Feng to worry, but he still felt worried. Lei's lips were frozen. Are you alright? I'm going to have to kill some people, said Lin Feng, smiling at Lei. He hugged her tightly and then looked at the second guy who had attacked them. He had broken the ice by now. However, he felt deathly cold now, especially when he saw Lin Feng's eyes. Excuse me, it seems that I bothered you, said that person smiling and running backwards. His friend wasn't weak, but he had immediately been cut in two. Lin Feng jumped forwards and released demonic intent. He glared at him and said, Look at me. That person couldn't resist looking at Lin Feng's eyes. Arg, Lin Feng shouted like a demon. He fused cursing and demonic energies together and his opponent's head started shaking violently. Even though he was stronger than Lin Feng in terms of level, his skills, abstruse energies, and special powers weren't as good as Lin Feng's. Boom! Lin Feng arrived in front of him and punched his head, exploding it into 1,000 pieces. Lin Feng looked at Lei, she was still smiling as if she didn't mind the ice energies. Lin Feng knew that Lei was extremely determined and that if she wasn't injured, the ice energies couldn't do anything to them. Boom! Lin Feng released fire abstruse energies and wrapped Lei inside them. He also released fire energies around himself, but once he did that, the cold energies around him started chilling his body even more, as if it was intensifying. He sat down again, his black hair became white. My love, don't worry about me, I can solve the problem myself. She couldn't deny the fire abstruse energies around her made her feel a bit better. Practice cultivation, don't worry, said Lin Feng. Lei hugged Lin Feng tightly and kissed him on the lips with her eyes closed. Even with your eyes closed, you're still a devil, said Lin Feng smiling. Then, he released demonic energies again to counter the ice energies. The demon abstruse energies made Lin Feng's eyes look even darker. The atmosphere became calm and a long time passed. Lei seemed to have fallen asleep in Lin Feng's arms, as if the outside world didn't have anything to do with her. However, Lin Feng looked like an ice statue. Even if he looked like a statue, his eyes were still pitch black, looking both aggressive and brutal. After a long time, Lei opened her eyes and looked at Lin Feng. My love, you're so silly, said Lei, stretching her hand and touching Lin Feng's face. However, at that moment, the ice cracked away as demonic and fire energies dashed to the skies. Kacha! The ice continued cracking as Lin Feng moved and raised his head. He looked at the ceiling with his pitch-black eyes. A thread of demonic intent came out of his eyes and a pitch-black light pierced the air. Break! Shouted Lin Feng. The ice exploded and Lin Feng's body appeared. He was still holding Lei in his arms. Demon abstruse energies, level 3. I think I'll break through to the second Zun Qi layer very soon, thought Lin Feng. He had broken through to the first Zun Qi layer for only a few months now, and making love with Lei helped him. Now, the potentially deadly challenge of the fourth floor had helped him become even stronger. He couldn't wait to see what the other tests of the ice and snow shrine would be. Who's that guy? He's so strong. Lin Feng was astonished. He was looking at the guy who had asked him questions before. In front of him were a few corpses, making it look like he had killed them and that they had frozen after. He was like Lin Feng, he had just broken through to the first Zun Qi layer, so many people chose to fight him. But they all lost. Kacha! Boom boom boom, mountains of ice were breaking around them. Lin Feng and Yi Renlei raised their heads and saw a gigantic piece of ice falling down on them. Lin Feng stretched out his hand, releasing demonic qi, and broke it. However, more pieces of ice fell, but Lin Feng destroying them all. Boom! Lin Feng saw a statue not that far in front of him. A block of ice fell onto it and they both exploded. Even if they didn't die by freezing there, if a piece of ice fell on top of them and crushed them, then they'd still died. Maybe the envoy hadn't lied. If that guy hadn't been crushed by the ice block, he would have made it out. Lin Feng glanced at the other young man. His mouth was open while swallowing a piece of ice. He could even eat the larger blocks of ice which were a few hundred meters wide. Snow continued falling, but they had the feeling they were rising up. The mountain range under their feet slowly disappeared and suddenly, fire appeared. It was a scorching fire, the complete opposite of what they had just experienced. That was the 5th floor. Chapter 1352, Thinking about life. Other may have been concerned, but Lin Feng was excited. That was a pure kind of fire. Come out. A light emerged from Lin Feng's hand and his Tianji sword crossed the fire world. His Tianji sword had souls. It could swallow fire energies and condense them to create a soul. In this ice and snow shrine, there seemed to be different worlds with different tests. If you fail the tests, you die, but if you succeed, you'll become stronger, said Yi Renlei, smiling at Lin Feng. If Lin Feng used his full strength, he could even make cultivators of the 5th Zun Qi layer go insane. There are 9 floors in the ice and snow shrine and we're on the 5th floor. Does that mean we have to go up floor by floor? What will we find on the next floors? Whispered Lin Feng. The test on the previous floor was about determination. What did the test of the 5th floor consist of? Let's sit and see. Then, both Lin Feng and Yi Renlei sat down, surrounded by fire. Most of the people there were ice cultivators, so the previous floor hadn't surprised them. However, that floor possessed a powerful fire which wasn't suitable for them. Lin Feng began using his cosmos burning sun technique. Fire surrounded his body as he absorbed the fire qi. The cosmos burning sun technique was a Tian level scripture, so even though it wasn't as strong as ancient scriptures, it was still quite powerful. However, as Lin Feng absorbed fire, he felt cold and sensed ice-cold energy surrounding him. He stopped and opened his eyes, looking at Yi Renlei. Did you sense that too? Asked Yi Renlei. Lin Feng stretched out his hand and touched her hand. She was sweating, but she felt cold. An ice world can also become a fire world. What does that mean? Whispered Lin Feng. Bzzz. At that moment, a dazzling light lit the sky. Everybody raised their heads, but they couldn't see through the light. That's a one-paged book, thought Lin Feng. There was a mysterious qi flowing throughout the book and it contained marks and words. It looked a little like the 3 lives scriptures and the 10,000 things of creation scriptures. That's moon and sun dual qi, thought Lin Feng. Moon and sun energies were flowing throughout the book, changing and flashing. The fire in the book turned into ice, and then the ice turned to fire again. Fire, ice, impermanence, the 4 seasons. The moon exists because of the sun and vice versa, water exists because of the fire and vice versa, thought Lin Feng. Was that the lesson of the 5th floor? The moon and the sun were interdependent, the same applied to fire and ice. Ice could burn like fire. The crowd looked at the book, but they were smart, none of them tried to steal it. It was probably difficult to obtain, and even if they took it, they might burn to death anyways. Let's see what kind of ancient scripture that is, said someone rising up. He looked at the book, but it seemed to contain ordinary scriptures, so he wasn't that interested. He came from a rich clan who had their own ancient scriptures. A gigantic hand made of ice moved towards the book, however, as soon as it touched the book, that person was propelled backwards. The gigantic hand broke apart and the cultivator's very hand burnt. It was half burnt, half frozen, actually. Ah! He gave a horrible shriek and shook his hand violently, trying to get rid of the pain. Crackling sound ensued as he used his blood strength to heal, but it didn't work. Even though Zune cultivators could use their blood to heal and could even grow new body parts again, if the injuries were too serious, they couldn't completely heal. After that person lost his arm, the fire continued to attack him, piercing him through his wound. No need to pay attention to that book right now. You need to understand both fire and ice chi to take it, said Lin Feng to Yi Renlei using telepathy. Yi Renlei nodded. She was wondering how to resist those energies herself. Lin Feng and Yi Renlei sat down and looked at the fire and ice energies in the air. A light appeared in Lin Feng's head. He thought about another kind of abstruse energy, life abstruse energy. Life abstruse energy was a special kind of abstruse energy, everybody relied on it just to live. The moon and the sun, fire and ice were interconnected, but what about life? The opposite of life was death. Human beings had limits because their vitality slowly faded. Death slowly replaced life along a person's life. My life energy can't be used to save people, or extend my life expectancy, or stay young forever. In the cultivation world, there is no complete and independent abstruse energy, thought Lin Feng. His eyes slowly turned pitch black again. He was pensive. Chapter 1353, On the 6th Floor, Desolate. Lin Feng closed his eyes and his celestial book spirit appeared inside his body. The entire demon territory appeared in his body. Desolate abstruse energies rose up in the air. My desolate strength is a pure form of death chi. Ruo Xia learned how to use decaying abstruse energies through desolate strength, thought Lin Feng. Desolate strength could corrode things because it contained death qi. It was a pure destructive strength which at a certain level, could easily destroy cultivators at the same cultivation level. For example, if his desolate abstruse energy was level 3, he could easily destroy a cultivator of the 3rd Zune Qi layer. If he used another kind of abstruse energy in a similar way, it didn't necessarily mean he could kill cultivators at the same level. Death, death, whispered Lin Feng. He was calmly thinking about life and death. He released cursing abstruse energies. Inside the cursing strength, there was a powerful death energy. He could easily kill people with such energies, but Lin Feng wasn't strong enough to do that yet. Life and death abstruse energies are interconnected. If I could use life abstruse energies to destroy life, then I could kill. Cursing energies can also kill. Lin Feng was trying to connect these things, life, cursing and desolate abstruse energies, to fuse them together and create a spell. He could also add demonic abstruse energies, then his attack would be even more terrifying. In the past, Lin Feng randomly condensed abstruse energies together, but now that he knew so many kinds of abstruse energies, he had to think and determine which fusions were the best. Lin Feng was excited, so excited that he almost forgot about the fire world. The ice and fire energies were becoming even scarier. On the 4th floor, many of them had already been eliminated. Those who had managed to go from the 4th to the 5th floor could be considered strong. However, some of them were starting to go insane on the 5th floor. But some people always amazed everyone else. Like the girl in black clothes, she was sitting there and she wasn't sweating at all. There was also the mysterious young man who didn't seem affected at all. No, finally, someone gave a horrible shriek. That person suddenly burned alive. After a short time, a second horrible shriek appeared as another person burned alive. Fire, ice, sun, moon, hot, cold, in certain physical states and conditions, those things could be the same thing. After a long time, maybe a day, Lin Feng finally smiled as if he had realized something. He shook his hand and released fire energies, then, it became ice cold. His sunfire turned into moon coldness. Lin Feng opened his eyes, they were pitch black and dazzling as always. He didn't study fire energies, he focused on the other kinds of abstruse energies. Sometimes, he tried to make the ice corrode his body to see what it did precisely. In that time, he began to understand the impermanence of life. Bzzz, lights descended from the sky. Those lights were filled with both moon and sun energies at the same time. They turned into a light and penetrated into Lin Feng's body. The one-paged book suddenly started shaking as it shined and moved towards Lin Feng's third eye, penetrating into his brain. The test of the fifth floor was actually quite simple. It was supposed to make cultivators study the connections between sun and moon energies. The first one to understand them would get the book. But who could understand things faster than Lin Feng? Bzzz. A powerful qi rose in the air. The beautiful girl in black clothes shook her hand and released ice and fire energies. She also understood the fire and ice energies, but only a few seconds after Lin Feng had, otherwise she would have obtained the book. Will she try and steal the book, thought the crowd. She had broken through to the fourth Zun Qi layer, so she was the strongest person in the room. She had immediately gone to the fourth floor at the beginning, which meant she could defeat cultivators at the top of the Zun Qi layer. As expected, she glared at Lin Feng angrily. Bzzz. Lin Feng's eyes looked dazzling and ice-cold. His vision was much more powerful than that girl's as he stared back at her. Finally, her qi became calm, as if she didn't want to attack. At the same time, the fire became chaotic and invaded the entire room. People couldn't see each other clearly anymore. Yi Ren, shouted Lin Feng. I'm here. Yi Ren Lei grabbed Lin Feng's arm. They were close to each other, but they couldn't see each other. They knew they were going to the next floor. After a bit, the crowd was finally able to see again. Those who were still alive found that they were on the sixth floor. Finally, it wasn't a desolate landscape anymore. Instead, they were in a luxuriant palace. Yi Ren Lei and Lin Feng were amazed though, because they realized that there were even more people than before. There must have been over 500 people there. You're still alive, said someone. It was the sixth prince. There were also many other people Yi Ren Lei knew. Those people must have taken a different road to get there. Lin Feng, the people from the other shrines are the same as us. Their first floor was different, but in the end, we all made it to the same place, said Yi Ren Lei, glancing around at the crowd. Lin Feng nodded, thinking the same thing. There are some terrifying people here. Lin Feng said while glancing at the crowd. Some people attracted his attention more than others. There were also some people who had immediately made it to the sixth floor, unlike those who had been to the fourth and to the fifth. Those who had immediately teleported to the sixth floor had defeated an opponent who was 5 cultivation levels stronger than them. Were there people on the 7th and 8th floor too? And what about the 9th floor? Lin Feng was wondering if a cultivator of the first Zun Qi layer could defeat cultivators of the 9th Zun Qi layer. Chapter 1354, Massacre. Even more people were arriving in that hall. 3 more batches of people appeared, now making around 600 people. The sixth prince looked at Lin Feng and Yi Ren Lei in a disdainful way, thinking about how he could kill them. Boom boom boom, the palace started shaking violently. A gigantic statue landed 1,000 meters away from them. That's the statue of the ice and snow goddess, thought some people. She was holding a scepter and there was a door with an entrance on the statue. Someone appeared in front of the ice and snow goddess, another envoy. Welcome to the entrance of the shrine, said the envoy, smiling indifferently. You must go through the ice and snow goddess door to see if you are worthy of bathing in her divine lights. Those who are on the 7th floor and above could immediately bathe in her lights and already received her blessings. If you go through that door, you'll be able to see them as well, explained the envoy. What was the 7th floor? It meant that some cultivators of the first Zun Qi layer could defeat cultivators at the top of the Zun Qi layer. The 8th floor meant that a cultivator of the first Zun Qi layer could defeat a cultivator of the 8th Zun Qi layer. Did such people exist? What's this place? Who are those people, thought Lin Feng. In the Ba Huang province, he had seen many geniuses. Inside here, he realized that there were many more people who were stronger than him, but where were they from? Of course, I have some bad news too. The number of people who can bathe in the goddess lights is limited. Only 9 of you will be selected, said the envoy, smiling. Many people were panicking. They knew that they were a lot weaker than some of the people there. Will people be eliminated through battles? How cruel would that be? So many incredible geniuses would die, thought some of the weaker cultivators in the crowd. I have already chosen those 9 people, said the envoy. People were astonished again. What was going on? He had already chosen 9 people. Did that mean those who weren't chosen wouldn't have the chance to see the 7th floor? Of course, you managed to make it here, which means you are all outstanding young people. I don't want you to lose your life easily, but I also don't want you to have no chance at all. You can make your own decisions, said the envoy slowly. Then, a light illuminated someone in the crowd. He looked tall and sturdy, his biceps stood out from the rest of his body. It was the young man with whom Lin Feng had talked to. He was the first person the envoy had chosen. You, come out, said the envoy. The young man walked forwards and looked at the envoy. The envoy shook his hand and a path between the young man and the statue of the goddess appeared. Then, he shook his hand again and a horizontal line appeared 1,000 meters behind him. Everyone stand behind the line, said the envoy. The crowd formed behind the line. Only the young man was left, standing on the path leading to the door. What's the opportunity? Now, I will choose 10 people. You all will try to kill him, preventing him from going inside. If you lose, he'll go through the door. That's pretty obvious. If one of you manages to kill him though, the one who kills him will replace him and be one of the 9 selected candidates, said the envoy. When I pick you, you can walk ahead. Only 10 people, but if you break the rules, I'll kill you, said the envoy calmly. Nobody doubted that. Inside the shrine, he was the boss. Everybody moved back and waited. If someone was too slow, they might run ahead when 10 people had already made it, which would mean they violated the rules. Start, shouted the envoy. Instantly, a few people ran as fast as they could. 30-40 people moved at the same time, but then they remembered what the envoy said, and decided to move back. The strongest people didn't move, thought Lin Feng, glancing around. The girl in black clothes didn't move. Maybe they were confident that they were going to be selected by the envoy personally. Attack, said the envoy. In a flash, Qi rose to the skies. All the cultivators were well prepared. Arg, someone shouted furiously. Their souls shook, their blood boiled. That was a dragon chant. La la la, Lin Feng's blood was boiling, as if a dragon was getting furious. The tall and sturdy young man punched the air in front of him. Then, shadow-like fists appeared everywhere around him. Slash, 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 a few people were immediately destroyed. He killed 6 of the 10 people in the blink of an eye. The 9 people the envoy had chosen were probably all extraordinary. That guy could have gone straight to the 5th or 6th floor, but he chose the 4th floor, thought Lin Feng. Then, 2 more people died. The faces of the last 2 opponents were red. They couldn't use holy weapons in there, instead, they had to rely on themselves, blood strength, spirit, and skills. One cultivator with ice and snow energies attacked the tall and sturdy young man, his energies surrounded him. The tall and sturdy young man jumped forwards and punched the air in the direction of his opponents again. The one in front of him exploded, leaving the cultivator with ice and snow energies. Arg, the tall and sturdy young man suddenly turned into a gigantic ice dragon, hundreds of meters long. Roar, the gigantic ice dragon immediately swallowed his opponent's spirit and landed in front of the ice and snow goddess. He turned back into a human and glanced at the crowd in a despising way. Then he crossed the door. An ice and snow dragon, a real dragon, the crowd was astonished. It was no wonder he had been chosen first, he had a real dragon body. Lin Feng was shaking, it was the first time he had seen a real dragon. Chapter 1355, going to die soon? With his strength, he could have gone straight to the 7th floor, he didn't need to sit all those tests, but he did anyway. He was quite confident in himself, thought Lin Feng. No matter what, people who had dragon blood were always talented. The envoy had chosen him first and he was also the first one to cross the door. Who would be the remaining 8? At that moment, the envoy looked at a second person and a light illuminated him. It was a young man wearing fine clothes. You, come, said the envoy smiling. The young man in fine clothes walked in front of the statue and waited for the opponents to come to him. Just like the first battle, 10 people came. The strongest cultivators still didn't attack, they were being cautious. 7 more people would be chosen by the envoy and they had a chance to be selected amongst them. The envoy shouted and the battle started. The young man in fine clothes jumped, 2 sharp glaciers appeared, as well as 2 icy roads. In the blink of an eye, he killed everyone and crossed the door. How strong! Maybe the people who went to the 5th or 6th floor already had level 7 abstruse energies, thought Lin Feng. There really were incredible geniuses there. The envoy then called the 3rd person. It was the beautiful girl in black clothes. Lin Feng had already noticed that she was extraordinary. The 2 people Lin Feng had noticed previously were surprisingly the 1st and 3rd cultivators selected by the envoy. After the girl in black clothes, there were 6 people left. The girl didn't lose either, she also crossed the door. The envoy continued selecting people until there were 3 people left. Lin Feng and Yi Renlei had waited. They were patient with their hearts as calm as still water. Yi Renlei had always wanted to come to the shrine and receive the teachings of the goddess. Even though she had already learned a lot, it wasn't enough. She hoped she'd go to the 7th floor as well and bath in the goddess lights. Yi Renlei thought she was quite talented. Even the diviner told her that she was talented, that she would definitely become an emperor. She had seldom met people who were stronger than her. Some people, however, had gone straight to the 7th and 8th floor. If Yi Renlei didn't die, she'd practically be an overlord in the Ba Huang amongst people of her own generation. Of course, Yi Renlei knew that things could change with a moment's notice. Some people had incredible abilities and some had discovered that they had a special body. Maybe that Lin Feng wasn't as strong as some of the people there, but in the future, he would probably surpass them. Even the diviner had asked him to become his disciple. Yi Ren, should we? I can help you kill someone, said Lin Feng to Yi Renlei, using telepathy. There were 3 more spots, so they might not have more opportunities afterwards. It's not that easy, the envoy has already chosen 6 people and all of them were astonishingly strong. Their cultivation level wasn't necessarily high, but their battling prowess was extraordinary. Some of them could even defeat cultivators at the top of the Zun Qi layer. The last 3 people will probably be similar, said Yi Renlei sighing. What about you? Asked Lin Feng. I give up, said Yi Renlei smiling in a pure way. 3 people were left, even if the last 3 people chosen by the envoy weren't as strong as the previous ones, the 10 opponents would probably be stronger because they hadn't tried in the first place. There were still some cultivators at the top of the Zun Qi layer left. Lin Feng looked at her smile and smiled too. She gave up, it didn't mean she failed, it meant that she had already learned a lot. One of us must go inside. We must join hands and kill the last person, thought the princes. They had to join hands and kill the last one, then the strongest one would go to the 7th floor. Of course, all of them hoped they'd be the one to enter. The 7th person the envoy chose was a cultivator of the 4th Zun Qi layer who could also defeat people at the top of the Zun Qi layer. The envoy was about to choose the 8th person, and everybody was nervous, clenching their fists. 2 more chances. All those who had thought the envoy would choose them started participating too. The 8th person was a powerful cultivator who killed 3 people in a flash. However, as he was killing the 9th person, terrifying ice claws appeared above him and cut straight through him. Many people were astonished. It's him. He's been hiding his real strength the whole time, thought Lin Feng when he saw the young man who had just killed the 8th selected candidate. It was a tall young man in snowy clothes. He had seen him on the 4th floor when the snowflakes would move away from him as they fell. If some people had concealed their strength, the envoy couldn't guess accurately. Lin Feng had also concealed his real strength because Yan Di had told him to. After that young man crossed the door, only one person was left. The envoy slowly glanced at the crowd and a light illuminated one person. Lin Feng started shaking as he was illuminated by a dazzling light. He was the 9th selected candidate. Considering the strength you displayed, you shouldn't have been the 9th selected candidate, but I had to make a difficult decision. I need to change the rules, said the envoy looking at Lin Feng in a sharp way. This time, you won't fight against 10 people, but 30. No, he can't accept, said Yi Renlei astonished. He's not going. Lin Feng was astonished, 30 people. And he couldn't use holy weapons. Did the envoy want to kill him? Maybe, the last opponents would be terrifying. 10 people was already difficult, but 30? Lin Feng couldn't imagine how that would end. Nobody can refuse my decisions, it's the ice and snow shrine, said the envoy. Why? Lin Feng didn't understand. Why did the envoy want him to die? Because you shouldn't have come to the ice and snow shrine, you should have gone to the demonic shrine. I'm already being magnanimous, said the envoy. Lin Feng understood now, he was in the wrong place. Chapter 1356, Deadly Battle, What can I do? Thought Lin Feng. How could he win against 30 people? Mister, I beg you, he can't defeat 30 people, please forgive him, said Yi Renlei. She didn't underestimate Lin Feng, but 30 people was a terrifying number. Besides, all the strongest people were left. Start, said the envoy to Lin Feng, ignoring Yi Renlei. Lin Feng practiced demonic cultivation, but he had come to the ice and snow shrine. If he wasn't so strong, he would have died already. Don't worry about me, said Lin Feng to Yi Renlei smiling. He then jumped behind the horizontal line. The envoy wasn't going to change his mind, so Lin Feng had no choice. As soon as he jumped behind the line, rumbling and explosions sounded. Terrifying energies appeared, making the ground shake. It was as if the earth and sky were afraid of Lin Feng. The envoy jumped in front of Lin Feng and said indifferently, "Everybody, come. Bzzz." In a flash, many people jumped forward and surrounded Lin Feng. They all wanted to kill him. Many people also became upset, they had to go back because they were too slow. Phew, Yi Renlei was also standing next to Lin Feng, she had managed to get a spot. Get ready, said the 4 princes from the Ice and Snow Empire. Lin Feng sensed 10 threads of qi rising to the skies around him and oppressing him. His demonic qi wasn't as intense as before, but his eyes were just as dark, if not darker. Fight, shouted the envoy. Energies moved straight towards Lin Feng, wanting to crush him. So close yet so far, said Lin Feng. An ancient road instantly appeared. Those people were running towards Lin Feng, but it seemed like they weren't getting any closer. They couldn't even see Lin Feng's silhouette properly. Lin Feng was surrounded by Ling Long's holy celestial energies. Lin Feng's eyes resembled those of a beast. A bestial technique from the Snow Clan, thought the envoy astonished. Lin Feng was using a special spell from the Ice Clan and had the holy celestial qi of Shui Ling Long. Break, 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 people shouted furiously. The energies of the so close yet so far spell were slowly falling apart. Roar! Lin Feng jumped forwards and roared furiously. His demonic and beast energies whistled. It was as if demons were running all around, baring their fangs and brandishing their claws. At the same time, he also released soundwave energies which resonated in their heads. He was using soundwave abstruse energies. Lacerate, lacerate, shouted Lin Feng. At the same time, he also released dazzling sword energies which contained a perfect fusion of wind, empty space, thunder, and desolate abstruse energies. It was his Veu death attack. Many people in front of Lin Feng were immediately lacerated. Even those who were stronger were killed by Lin Feng's sword attack. Die! Ice claws appeared behind Lin Feng and pierced through his back. It was forbidden to use holy weapons in there, so Lin Feng couldn't use his armor. Otherwise, that attack wouldn't have done anything to him. Boom! Lin Feng released life abstruse energies to heal his injury. At the same time, the one who had just attacked him was immediately killed by someone else. They couldn't let other people kill Lin Feng, because they wanted to replace him themselves. Roar! Dragons roared and a lake of terrifying energies appeared. A 9-headed dragon appeared behind Lin Feng. Lin Feng had to display his real strength, only then would some people join hands to fight him. 2 dragon heads disappeared, and then Xian Yuan's battle axe and a golden hammer appeared. At the same time, dazzling silver wings appeared from Lin Feng's back. Now is the best time, we need to injure him, said the 6th prince, landing in front of Lin Feng. Lin Feng stared at the 6th prince with his demonic eyes. Die! Shouted Lin Feng, jumping forwards. Demonic intent emanated from his eyes and moved towards the 6th prince. The 6th prince's eyes suddenly felt sore, so he immediately closed them. But, the demonic intent was already affecting his determination. Boom! Lin Feng jumped forwards and continued oppressing the 6th prince. Arg! The 6th prince shouted furiously. Lin Feng's soundwave energy surrounded him and made his brain hurt even more. Lin Feng had made water and soundwave abstruse energies fuse together. Die! In a flash, more energies rose to the sky and oppressed Lin Feng. A lake-sized cauldron appeared in the air. It wanted to freeze Lin Feng with its ice chi. He can't win, there are too many people, thought the crowd. The 6th prince's energies were whistling as he made 2 level 6 abstruse energies fuse together to attack Lin Feng. Kacha! The ice broke and demonic energies dashed to the skies. Lin Feng closed his silver wings and the remaining energies crashed against his wings. Cracks began to appear on them. However, at that moment, sword lights containing fiery red colors streaked across the sky and beheaded those who were too close to Lin Feng. Lin Feng's sword attack just now contained 5 different types of abstruse energies. The crowd was astonished, their hearts were pounding as they looked at all the corpses on the ground. Lin Feng's sword attack had killed 5 people and then, with his other sword attack, he had killed 9 people. Only 21 people were left. We can't kill him with one attack, we have to be careful and keep our distance. Chapter 1357, Terrifying Battle. Lin Feng was struggling though. Even though he used the silver wings and the dragon to protect himself, he was still oppressed. He put some life water in his mouth and sensed his vitality returning to him. He also released life abstruse energies to expedite the recovery. We have to be extremely cautious, we could die while trying to kill him, said the 6th prince. If Lin Feng's energies ever reached them, they might not survive a single strike. The last spot is definitely mine, said someone. A layer of ice and snow surrounded that person's body, like an armor. That person had broken through to the 5th Zun Qi layer and his ice abstruse energy was probably level 7. Lin Feng would have to release his strongest sword energies to break that person's ice armor. That's equivalent to a high-level holy weapon, thought the crowd. Rumbling sounds spread in the air as that person ran towards Lin Feng. Gloomy ancient cauldron, shouted a cultivator furiously. A gigantic cauldron appeared in the air, the same one from before. Freeze! A cultivator ran towards Lin Feng. His cultivation level was even higher at the 6th Zun Qi layer. It was the highest cultivation level allowed in the shrine. His ice energies contained holy marks which prevented Lin Feng from escaping. Lin Feng looked at that cultivator and released demonic energies. Demonic clouds appeared 300 meters up in the air as Lin Feng raised his head. A silhouette was condensing behind him, forming into a demon. Ice energies were flowing out of the cauldron above Lin Feng's head, but they couldn't freeze the demonic qi. The demon used an incredible agility technique, as his pitch-black hands moved towards a cultivator of the 3-zun qi layer. Roar! The demon roared, making that person shake violently. After that, a gigantic hand moved towards him, destroying everything in its way. Then, the hand crushed him brutally. Lin Feng turned around and looked at someone. A gigantic hand appeared again and another person died. Kaboom! The gloomy cauldron hit Lin Feng's back. The wind was knocked out of him and he felt like he was going to explode. At the same time, an icy whip descended from the sky. Lin Feng raised his demonic hands and grabbed the whip. The whip released ice energies, but Lin Feng released sword qi and destroyed the whip. Whistling Celestial River, shouted the 6th prince as he landed in front of Lin Feng. Lin Feng sensed that the cauldron was attacking him again. Die! The cultivator with his ice armor punched the air in Lin Feng's direction. Roar! Lin Feng shouted furiously. His hair was covered with ice and his sword qi broke. Die! A sword light appeared and pierced through the sky, lacerating 2 people on the way. Blood splashed out of Lin Feng's mouth, his face was white, his blood was starting to freeze. Even his life water couldn't heal him anymore. Death curse! Said Lin Feng, looking at a cultivator of the 3rd zun qi layer. Death qi penetrated into that person's bones and corroded his body, making him turn black, then collapsing. He was dead. Die! Xian Yuan's battle axe moved towards a cultivator who had also released their spirit. The earth and sky were filled with ice and snow as the battle axe immediately broke apart. Boom boom! Lin Feng's arm collided with the one with the ice armor, breaking some of his bones. He crashed into the ground, but rose up again. Piss off! Shouted the 6th prince furiously. Lin Feng shouted at the same time and released soundwave energies. He was staring at him with his demonic eyes, making the 6th prince shudder. Die! Shouted a demon's voice, resonating in the 6th prince's brain, and slowly draining his determination. Save me! Shouted the 6th prince. He sensed that he was in danger, that Lin Feng was going to kill him. Nobody helped him, his few fellow disciples were there to fight Lin Feng, not to help him. They watched as Lin Feng's gigantic hand moved towards his head. No! I don't want to die, shouted the 6th prince. He wanted to release his spirit, but Lin Feng was too fast. His skull exploded. The 6th prince was dead. Kaboom! While Lin Feng crushed the 6th prince's head, he sensed an icy hand attacking his back. The demonic silhouette moved again. He's still not dying, thought the crowd. Had Lin Feng studied imperial scriptures? Die! Abstruse energies turned into an ice and snow spear, which aimed for Lin Feng's throat. Lin Feng turned around and saw that spear heading towards him. He quickly released sword energies to block it. Slash! The ice spear was propelled back in the direction of that cultivator's throat, along with the sword. It pierced his throat, and that person collapsed. Then, someone else appeared, Yi Ren Lei. Be careful, shouted Lin Feng. An icy hand appeared behind Yi Ren Lei as Lin Feng ran towards her to catch her. Ice curse, shouted Lin Feng furiously. The ice melted, and at the same time, he released sword energies to cut the attacker in two. The punch crashed onto Yi Ren Lei's back, trying to freeze her. Spiritual cursing technique, shouted Lin Feng. A corpse on the ground suddenly stood up. It had been cut in two, but as it rose, its lower and upper parts joined together. At the same time, Lin Feng ran and released sword energies. He killed one person, but ice energies penetrated into his body. He suddenly felt ice cold, and his demonic energies weakened. Death curse, shouted Lin Feng, releasing more cursing energies and demonic qi. Someone who was running towards him suddenly felt like he was going to die. Slash! A sword lacerated someone and cut off another person's arm. Yi Renlei hugged him and smiled at him in a seductive way. He had been caught in an illusion. Then, Yi Renlei released ice abstruse energies and slit their throat. "Die, stupid woman," shouted someone. Imperial chi rolled in waves towards Yi Renlei. It was one of the princes from the Ice and Snow Empire. Yi Renlei ran using abstruse energies, but the attack still reached her and sent her flying away. At the same time, Lin Feng, who had just killed someone, was suddenly slapped by the one who had the ice armor. His demon silhouette was destroyed and he was propelled away. Lin Feng and Yi Renlei crashed onto a wall, buried under some snow. Lin Feng and Yi Renlei joined hands and had already killed 20 people, but there were still 9 people left. Chapter 1358, Ice Seal. He hid his strength. The last 9 cultivators were staring at Lin Feng and Yi Renlei. Even though they knew Yi Renlei was Lin Feng's friend, they didn't care too much about her. Of course, the last 9 people were also excited. So many people had died, so they had less competitors now. Besides, Lin Feng's demonic shadow had disappeared and Lin Feng and Yi Renlei were starting to get worn out. Yi Renlei and Lin Feng were stuck against an ice wall. Lin Feng smiled wryly and said, "Why did you get involved in such a nightmare?" "The 100 days haven't passed yet, you're still my love," said Yi Renlei. Her lips were frozen, but she was still smiling. "How can you smile at a time like this?" Lin Feng poured some life water into Yi Renlei's mouth. "Are we going to die?" asked Yi Renlei when she saw those 9 cultivators coming towards them and releasing ice energies. "Are you afraid?" asked Lin Feng. "You're not done, you still haven't killed that demonic woman." Yi Renlei shook her head and said, "I was scared in the past, but since you've been by my side, I stopped being afraid. Maybe that dying is a way to solve the issue." Yi Renlei slowly turned around and wrapped her arms around Lin Feng's neck. She smiled and said, "Lin Feng, I think I love you." "Well then, we can't die." "Let's crush them," said Lin Feng smiling. He looked at those 9 people with his pitch-black eyes and released his demonic territory. The crowd was incredulous. They felt like they were staring at a real demon when they looked at his eyes. The water of the 9 netherworlds had appeared inside his eyes. "Even if you all eventually kill me, I'm going to take a few of you with me before I go," said Lin Feng. His voice contained demonic cursing energies, making them shiver. They were determined and strong, so it was difficult to influence them with demonic cursing energies. But, Lin Feng had already killed 20 people and he looked like a real demon. A hole suddenly appeared in front of them. "That way, not only won't you go to the very heart of the Ice and Snow Shrine, but you'll also lose your life, you'll lose your cultivation, your world will end completely and you will stay in here forever. Nobody will remember you," said Lin Feng. Then, he started singing his 9 netherworlds demonic song. At the same time, Yi Renlei leant against Lin Feng and whispered, "The 6 desires, debauchery, deprivation. Debauchery, lust, pleasure. We can't let her influence us." The cultivator of the 6th Zun Qi layer was the strongest one and also the most determined. He wasn't affected by Lin Feng's demonic cursing energies. He had shouted before to come back to his senses. "Why don't you kill me then? Do you want to be those people's servant?" shouted Lin Feng. He slowly rose up in the air again, releasing more demonic energies. Boom! Lin Feng jumped forwards. He was staring down at the 2 princes who hadn't died still. "Your friends have been killed and you're the last ones, how can you fight against me? If you die, the imperial family of the Ice and Snow Empire will be doomed. How will those who couldn't wait to send you here react when they learn that you died?" shouted Lin Feng. Gloomy ancient cauldron. Ice energies flowed out of the ancient cauldron again. "Break!" shouted Lin Feng furiously. His sword chi shot up into the sky and broke the cauldron into 2. "Did you think your cauldron was that powerful? I crushed it in one attack. You all can only accept your fate now," shouted Lin Feng like a demon. 2 princes, after you die, the Ice Emperor will have no more descendants, then the Snow Leader will gain control, said Lin Feng, staring at those two people with his pitch-black eyes. He couldn't attack everyone at the same time, so he chose them. Shut the hell up, shouted a prince furiously. Submit, shouted Lin Feng aggressively and brutally. His song continued resonating in their heads. Submit and kill them, shouted Lin Feng. Slowly, they turned around as even more demonic intent flowed throughout their bodies. Kill, shouted a furious voice. The two princes threw themselves at two people. One prince threw himself at the one with the armor, but the latter punched the prince and made him explode. The other prince attacked the cultivator of the 6th Zun Qi layer who threw an icy spear. Bzzz. Lin Feng performed a knife hand strike in the air. Kaboom! The cultivator of the 6th Zun Qi layer landed on the ground and released ice marks which moved towards Lin Feng. Boom! The one with the armor also started running again. The 7 remaining people didn't hold out any longer. Lin Feng had way too many special powers. Lin Feng didn't mind them, instead, he continued condensing sword qi. Back in the mysterious world, he had studied 81 sword marks, and now he was using the 81st. Up in the air, a sword appeared and whistled with strident energies. Everybody was aghast as cracks appeared in the ice around them and in the demonic territory. Kacha! Lin Feng's legs were freezing as the holy marks reached him, but his sword qi broke it. Dong! A terrifying sword condensed in front of Lin Feng. The crowd was astonished and the fighters even stopped for a second. Lin Feng smiled evilly and glanced at the crowd. Finally, he performed another knife hand strike and the terrifying sword streaked across the sky. The holy mark's sword was terrifying and contained astonishing abstruse energies. Kill! Nobody said that, but it seemed like they had heard someone say it. The ice broke apart and 2 distinct sounds spread in the air, as well as rumbling sounds. The one with the armor had been lacerated, his body was riddled with gaping wounds. The one with the holy marks disappeared without leaving trace. 2 cultivators who could defeat cultivators at the top of the Zun Qi layer had been destroyed by that holy mark's sword attack. But, Lin Feng's arm froze from the exchange. Kill! Shouted someone else, throwing himself at Lin Feng. Finally, only 5 people were left and Lin Feng seemed tired and injured. The attacker condensed ice and ran towards Lin Feng. Kacha! The ice didn't pierce Lin Feng's body, an ice hand appeared in front of him but suddenly someone appeared. 6 desires, said Yi Ren Lei smiling charmingly. That person instantly fell into an illusion, however, after a second, ice energies rolled in the air again. By the time he came back to his senses, he saw a gorgeous, long-haired beauty with ice energies running at him. Chapter 1359, Demonic Tragedy, Kill, yelled Yi Ren Lei. Her ice abstruse energies penetrated that cultivator's body. Kaboom! They exploded as the ice expanded inside him. Though, a gigantic ice hand bombarded her chest and propelled her away. She crashed against Lin Feng, feeling she was going to freeze. She couldn't condense energies anymore. Lin Feng had just killed 4 people and Yi Ren Lei had killed 1. That meant 4 people were left. 3 cultivators of the 6th Zun Qi layer, that was enough to kill her. Lin Feng was going to lose. They had to kill that girl first. Even though she was beautiful, they couldn't afford to lose because of her. Yi Ren Lei stretched out her slender white hands and touched Lin Feng's cheeks, smiling, I'm sure you can win. Don't forget that you said I'd become the ice and snow goddess someday and that you'd make love to me then. Lin Feng came back to his senses and suddenly felt invigorated. Strength flew throughout his body again as his blood condensed again. To hell with your bullshit, shouted a cultivator. Then, a gigantic ice hand descended from the sky with the intention of killing Yi Ren Lei. Boom! Ice began covering Yi Ren Lei. Die! The gloomy cauldron appeared again and began vomiting ice energies in Yi Ren Lei's direction. Yi Ren Lei could barely block the attack, her bones broke under the pressure. However, it seemed like she didn't feel the pain. Her arm was frozen, so she used it to block the attack. No matter what, she stood in front of Lin Feng and protected him. Lin Feng looked at her, flames appearing inside his demonic eyes. "My love, you can do it," said Yi Renlei. She turned around. Lin Feng saw her deathly pale face, but she was still smiling. Boom boom boom. Another person attacked, wanting to kill Yi Renlei. They had to kill her first and then they could join hands to kill Lin Feng. Whoever killed Yi Renlei wasn't important, the most important thing would be, who killed Lin Feng? Sex, lust, debauchery, deprivation, heat, come. Yi Renlei was suddenly bathing in the flames of lust. Those energies contained ice-cold energies, actually, ice and fire were fusing together. The four men looked at Yi Renlei with a throbbing passion, a fire started burning inside them. Boom! A terrifying hand bombarded Yi Renlei. Her 6 desires spell seemed like it was going to freeze over, but it didn't, and she said, "Illusion." Those people were then taken in by her illusion. Kacha! Yi Renlei was slowly freezing. She hid behind Lin Feng to avoid dying from the cold energies. Even with her 6 desires attack, she couldn't do much. "Kill!" shouted Yi Renlei. She suddenly rose up in the air, condensed ice in her hand, and punched on of them while they were still stuck in the illusion. He immediately died, but at the same time, someone else attacked her, throwing her into a wall violently. Her organs were gravely injured. Then, she softly fell down and crashed onto the ground. She looked like she was asleep, her hair was frozen. She was on the ground, lying below Lin Feng's feet. It seemed like she was looking up at him with a smile that would never disappear from her face. "My love, remember your promise," said Yi Renlei with a weak voice. Flames appeared in Lin Feng's eyes again. Then, he fused together with the Netherworld Demon Emperor's consciousness. Die? He couldn't die, he still had Meng Qing. She had always stayed with him since the Black Wind Mountain, Xian Yi, Yu Xian, Lu Fei, Xiaoya, his family members. He also had to find Yu Yu. He couldn't let Yi Renlei die in front of him like that. He suddenly looked like a real demon, like he was offering his soul to the devil. Demonic intent overwhelmed his body. Boom! The 3 cultivators threw themselves at Lin Feng now that nobody was blocking them anymore. Kaboom! The gloomy cauldron moved towards Lin Feng, but a gigantic ice hand appeared next to it. "Piss off," he shouted furiously. He punched the cauldron, making it fly away, and then he smiled ferociously. He was going to kill Lin Feng. An icy finger moved towards Lin Feng like a needle darting through the air. However, he started shaking once he saw Lin Feng's eyes. Those eyes alone were affecting his determination. He suddenly stopped as the 9 Netherworlds song resonated in his brain. He was suddenly overwhelmed by demonic intent. Just as he was about to reach Lin Feng, he stopped and slowly turned around. Then, he threw himself at the person behind him. "Your life is mine," shouted the cultivator. He released a 5-fingered attack which was as sharp as blades and killed the demon slave. Now, there was only Lin Feng. "Ice-cold godly fingers, destroy," shouted the last one. He wasn't going to give Lin Feng any chances. He closed his eyes and attacked Lin Feng. "Kill!" A demonic hissed. Lin Feng was starting to freeze, but the consciousness of the Netherworld Demon Emperor hadn't disappeared from him yet. Bzzz. The 9 Netherworlds demon consciousness broke apart and dispersed as it collided with the ice. Now, Lin Feng's eyes didn't contain the energy of the 9 Netherworlds anymore, they only contained his own demonic consciousness. Lin Feng's frozen body ran forwards, explosions sounded as he condensed energies and a demon appeared. The room was entirely filled with demonic energies once that demon appeared. "He's broken through to the 2nd Zun Qi layer," that person was dumbstruck. His face turned deathly pale as Lin Feng's demonic intent became even stronger. He felt like he was facing a demon king, or even the devil, definitely not a demon cultivator. Chapter 1360, 12 Shrines. Lin Feng continued releasing demonic intent and condensed it in his hand. Then he slapped his opponent, injecting demonic intent into his opponent's body. The attacker's body suddenly turned black. "Let me go," shouted that cultivator. "Kill," shouted Lin Feng furiously. He released even more strength and attacked the opponent's body. Cracking sounds were heard as his bones broke. "They're all dead," the crowd in the distance shivered. Lin Feng landed next to Yi Renlei, who was still smiling. He poured some life water into her mouth, hoping that would save her life. Lin Feng took her in his arms and released fire energies to warm her up. Very quickly, the ice around her melted and Yi Renlei shivered, but she still didn't move. "Are you cold?" asked Lin Feng. She shook her head and smiled. "I thought I was going to die." "I promised you one thing," said Lin Feng, smiling. He released even more fire energies. If he hadn't broken through to the second Zun Qi layer, they might have died. At that moment, the envoy arrived next to Lin Feng rather excitedly. Lin Feng raised his head and looked at him. He smiled indifferently. If Lin Feng was strong enough, he would have killed the envoy. Bzzz, the envoy opened his third eye and a light emerged which moved towards Lin Feng's face. The envoy inspected Lin Feng's memories, but then he looked surprised. Fortune Shrine, the envoy was astonished. Lin Feng felt cold, but he didn't know what just happened. Very quickly, the envoy smiled at Lin Feng and said, "Congratulations, you passed the test." Had the diviner left a protective thread of consciousness in his brain? Why couldn't the envoy's godly awareness pierce through his godly awareness correctly? Why did he look surprised when he saw the diviner's thread of consciousness in Lin Feng's brain as well? "Mister, you said that I came to the wrong shrine, so I can't go into the shrine, right?" asked Lin Feng, smiling. He couldn't tell the envoy what he really thought. "What you mean is that you want your girlfriend to go in as well, right?" said the envoy, smiling. Lin Feng nodded. "If that's possible." "No need, I already made an exception, so I'll make a second exception. The ice and snow goddess is willing to have you both," said the envoy, smiling. He was talking to Lin Feng in a more polite way, but why? "Thank you, mister, can you give me more time?" asked Lin Feng. "No problem," said the envoy, nodding. Lin Feng smiled at Yi Renlei. "All those people here practice ice cultivation, right?" "Right," replied Yi Renlei as if she knew what Lin Feng meant. Lin Feng stood up and released demonic qi at the crowd. Lin Feng appeared in front of someone, making them feel scared. Amongst the people from the Ice and Snow Empire who came to the shrine, only a dozen were left of the 81. "Kill," said Lin Feng while releasing demonic energies. Then he punched that person and released cursing, demon, and desolate abstruse energies. That person was propelled backwards, but Lin Feng continued running at them and punched his head, killing him instantly. All the others who were from the Ice and Snow Empire looked terrified. Boom boom. Another explosion sounded as Lin Feng killed another person with an explosion. Lin Feng used his Xiaoyao agility technique to quickly catch up with the remaining cultivators. Another explosion sounded as someone else died. "Mister," shouted someone, begging. However, the envoy looked indifferent. He didn't care about them. He had seen many people die in his life, including the last time the shrine had opened. Lin Feng continued killing people before going back to Yi Renlei. He had killed all the people from the Ice and Snow Empire. They would never get the treasures from the shrine and the Ice Emperor would know nothing. Lin Feng couldn't take any risks. If the Ice Emperor learned that he had killed all his sons, he would be furious. "Are you feeling any better?" asked Lin Feng. "Much better, the life water is great." "You should take it back," said Yi Renlei. She wanted to spit out the last drops of life water and give them back to him. Even though it wasn't a holy weapon, it was extremely potent. Lin Feng put his hand on her lips and shook his head. "Keep it," I stole it from you back then, so now it's yours. Let's go and see what is behind the door. Lin Feng and Yi Renlei walked on the small path and crossed the door. The crowd looked at them, speechless. As Lin Feng and Yi Renlei crossed the door, the space around them became distorted as they were being teleported again. A light appeared and they landed somewhere else. It was a large palace with an exit. Many people were already there. It's them. Lin Feng could see 8 people who had been selected before, as well as 2 other people. They turned around and saw Lin Feng and Yi Renlei. They were surprised. 2 people. Hadn't the envoy said only one more person could come? Not bad, you're here too, said the tall and sturdy young man, smiling at Lin Feng. The girl in black clothes also nodded at Lin Feng. That girl had nodded at him, maybe that strong cultivators respected each other after all. She acknowledged Lin Feng's strength, which meant that they were now acquaintances. Lin Feng nodded back at her and walked forwards. He realized that there were 9 palaces, and in front of them were 2 more floors. 12 empires and 12 shrines. Chapter 1361, The King Body. In front of Lin Feng were 11 luxuriant palaces which pierced the clouds. The palaces were all connected by lights, and together, sealed the atmosphere. For example, Lin Feng was facing a shrine which was bathing in flames. The sky above it was red like fire. That shrine had 9 floors. On its 7th floor, there were quite a few people. The 8th floor had only 1 person, and the 9th floor was empty and desolate, without a soul in sight. There were 11 shrines plus the one Lin Feng was in, so 12 shrines in total. Those were probably all the shrines from the empires of Jiuyu. But those people inside the shrines weren't all from Jiuyu. For example, in the shrine where Lin Feng was, there were people who didn't come from the Ice and Snow Empire. That meant that there were several entrances to the shrines, but that they all led to the same place. In the center of the shrines, there was a vast area and a battling stage divided into 12 areas. In each area, there was only 1 person. On the side of the Ice and Snow Shrine, it was the envoy. It was like Fortune City, where there were multiple shrines and the same man was in all of them at the same time. Yi Ren, you're here too, a loud voice made Lin Feng and Yi Renlei turn around. The voice seemed to be coming from another shrine. That shrine had dazzling lights which seemed like they could disappear at any time. It was the empty space shrine. It's him. Lin Feng was astonished. That person was from the Ba Huang province, Xikong Shao. The cultivation world is really strange, surprising things keep happening, whispered Lin Feng. Xikong Shao was in the empty space shrine, but how had he come to Jiuyu though? Besides, Xikong Zhao's best ability was his celestial vision, so why had he chosen the empty space shrine? Xikong Shao had seen Lin Feng and the Black Mage steal the Netherworld Demon Emperor's demon flute, so he recognized Lin Feng. He smiled politely and nodded at Lin Feng. Yi Ren, you're even more beautiful now. Did you find someone to practice your 6 desires skill with? Said someone next to Xikong Shao. Do we know each other? Yi Renlei didn't recognize that person, but that person seemed to know her. Let me introduce him, that's Qi Qianren from the Qi clan. He's rarely in Ba Huang because he's always abroad practicing cultivation. You don't know him, so that's absolutely normal, said Xikong Shao. Qi Qianren. Lin Feng frowned. The one who had used the banishment spell on Lin Feng was Qi Qianxing. Qi Qianren, are you of the same generation as Qi Qianxing or are you older? Asked Yi Renlei. She had heard that Lin Feng had been banished by Qi Qianxing. She knew that Qi Qianxing was a cultivator at the very top of the Zun Qi layer. About the same generation, I'm younger than him by about 100 years, replied Qi Qianren calmly. Lin Feng, that guy is even scarier than Qi Qianxing, said Yi Renlei to Lin Feng using telepathy. Qi Qianxing and Qi Qianren were brothers and there was a difference of 100 years between them. Qi Qianxing was a cultivator at the very top of the Zun Qi layer, but Qi Qianren was also on the 7th floor of the shrine, so he was naturally a genius. The relations between the Xikong clan and the Qi clan are quite good, no wonder you fought against the Wen clan together, said Yi Renlei. Lin Feng's eyes twinkled, he knew those people, so were there other familiar people there? Lin Feng glanced around and quickly saw some other people he knew. Wen clan, 7th floor. Lin Feng glanced around and saw Wen Tiangu and Wen Ao Shui. He continued glancing around and then noticed someone else in a dazzling shrine, Kong Ming the Buddhist monk. He wasn't surprised to see Kong Ming, after all, he had already noticed several people he knew. What surprised Lin Feng was that Kong Ming was on the 8th floor. Xikong Xiao and Wen Tiangu were part of the 10 strongest young cultivators and the meeting of the emperors would take place soon, so they couldn't waste time. However, what were the differences between all the shrines? He didn't know how the other people had chosen which shrine they wanted to go to. Lin Feng remembered that in the empty space battlefield, Yi Renlei and he had encountered Kong Ming. They had been traveling in the same direction, the direction of Jiuyu. Yi Renlei had also told Lin Feng that Kong Ming was difficult to understand. 8th floor, whispered Lin Feng. Kong Ming was on the 8th floor, which meant that he could defeat people at the peak of the 7th Zun Qi layer, at least. Kong Ming was on the 8th floor, and it was great and all, but each shrine had one or more people on the 8th floor. The most incredible person was on the 9th floor, he was the only one to make it to a 9th floor. His cultivation level wasn't high. He had just broken through to the 3rd Zun Qi layer. That person seems to have a special body, his qi looks special, whispered Yi Renlei. Like an ancient king, that's a king body from the antiquity, said the tall and sturdy man next to them. He was a real ice dragon, so it was no surprise that he had an extensive knowledge. King was a cultivation level, it was an appellation, a sign of respect. A body type. Lin Feng remembered the imperial immortal body. Was it a kind of body type as well? 12 shrines, they were connected at first and now it seems like they're connected because of that guy. They want to compete for him, said the girl in black clothes. She wanted to replace that guy. It seemed that even without a king body, anyone could become a king. You're a real ice dragon, don't they want to compete too? Said Lin Feng to the tall and sturdy young man. Ha, ice dragons are not very respected. Chapter 1362, Young People's Decisions. In fact, if strength had been the only criteria, the young man couldn't have appeared on the 9th floor. Being on the 9th floor would mean that a cultivator of the 1st Zun Qi layer could defeat a cultivator of the 9th Zun Qi layer, which was impossible. Even with level 9 abstruse energies, it wasn't possible to defeat a cultivator of the 9th Zun Qi layer in one strike. Besides, that young man didn't have the strength of the 1st Zun Qi layer. Had he defeated cultivation emperors? Impossible. For emperors, those who weren't emperors were insects. Amongst the incredible cultivators of the continent, those with the strength of the 5th Zun Qi layer could defeat cultivators at the top of the Zun Qi layer, or maybe that cultivators of the 6th Zun Qi layer could, but could cultivators of the 7th or 8th Zun Qi layer defeat emperors? That was still too unrealistic. Lin Feng had heard of only one person who could defeat emperors with the strength of the Zun Qi layer, the Demon Emperor. And now all the shrines wanted that person on their side. Nobody helped others unconditionally, the shrines helped cultivators to become stronger, by bathing in their lights, because they wanted those people as their own disciples. The shrines were their own influential groups, so they needed to remain strong at all times. The diviner was also an example, he wanted to recruit Lin Feng as a disciple for the future of Fortune Shrine. He arrived there through the empty space shrine, so he should come here, said an envoy. Even before that, we noticed him. That's why the 12 shrines are now interconnected. Don't you think you're being ridiculous? Said another envoy in a cold way. He has an ancient king body which he had inherited his body at birth, unlike some other special bodies. He must be handled carefully. His body can be washed too, said the envoy of the Ice and Snow Shrine. Lin Feng was confused. Inherited at birth? If Jun Mo she also had a king-type body, the imperial immortal body, then Kong Ming probably had a king-type body too, but he was only standing on the 8th floor. The members of your shrine can also come to my shrine and be washed by empty space lights too then, said the envoy of the empty space shrine. If they want to. Alright, then let's allow people to choose again, what do you think? Alright, the fire shrine has no objections, said the envoy of the fire shrine. The demon shrine also accepts, said a dark-looking envoy. I have no objection either. Everybody agreed for they had faith in their shrines. After all, since people had chosen their shrine, why would they leave? The differences weren't that big between the shrines anyways. But the Ice and Snow Shrine's envoy didn't say anything, he even frowned. He knew that someone would probably leave the Ice and Snow Shrine, someone who had also been to the Fortune Shrine. Therefore, he hoped he wouldn't leave for another shrine. Ice and Snow Shrine, what do you think? The 11 shrines had agreed, but the envoy of the Ice and Snow Shrine frowned. He knew he had no choice. Alright, I agree, said the envoy nodding. Alright, let's start again then. Let them choose which shrine they want to join again. The crowd was surprised when they heard the news. They would get different powers if they chose a different shrine, and people were curious, they probably wanted to see what the other shrines were like. At that moment, nobody knew what it would be like to switch to another shrine. What would they do? You understand what we're talking about, right? If you manage to come to the 7th floor, it means that you are very talented. We acknowledge your strength. So no matter what shrine you choose, you will learn something special. Now, you have the option to choose a new shrine. Stay where you are or go to another shrine and we'll know your decision, said an envoy, leaving everybody with a decision to make. How do we go back if we choose another shrine? Asked someone. Lin Feng had arrived through the Ice and Snow Empire, so if he chose the Demon Shrine, wouldn't he go to the empire where the Demon Shrine was? Wouldn't people want to kill him if they saw a stranger appear in their empire? You don't need to worry about that, you'll have the aura of the shrine you chose so nobody will dare attack you, said an envoy. Lin Feng didn't know what to do. He was different from other people, if he chose another shrine, wouldn't the Ice and Snow Shrine reject Yi Renlei? Lin Feng still remembered how cold the envoy had been to him. Lin Feng, said Yi Renlei. She was thinking that the Ice and Snow Shrine wasn't suitable for Lin Feng, and that he should choose another shrine. The Demon Shrine or the Empty Space Shrine were both better for Lin Feng than the Ice and Snow Shrine. Lin Feng looked at the Ice and Snow Shrine's envoy. He wasn't moving and the envoys were waiting. If you choose the Ice and Snow Shrine, I will be very happy, but if you choose the Demon Shrine or another one, I can understand. I will send your girlfriend to the 8th floor and let her bathe in the Ice and Snow Goddess lights, and even though she's not that strong now, she will have a bright future, said the envoy to Lin Feng using telepathy, as if he knew that Lin Feng was worried. Lin Feng was skeptical, why would the envoy be nice to him? Did he know that Lin Feng had a special body and that he was going to choose another shrine? Was he trying to win Lin Feng by offering his girlfriend a position? So if Yi Renlei became incredible, then Lin Feng would still be connected to the Ice and Snow Shrine. Lin Feng was thinking. Bzzz, bzzz, silhouettes flickered. Many people moved behind the envoys, but few people had chosen to move to another shrine. Yi Ren, I'm going to the Demon Shrine, said Lin Feng to Yi Renlei using telepathy. The envoy won't do anything to you. Alright, go, I can't wait for you to be my demon god, said Yi Renlei smiling graciously. Alright, someday, I'll make love to my Ice and Snow Goddess, said Lin Feng, caressing her cheeks. Then, he left for the Demon Shrine. Yi Renlei looked at him and then went to stand behind the Ice and Snow envoy. The 12 envoys looked at the young cultivators and then at the young man on the 9th floor. They couldn't wait to see where he would go. With your abilities, if you choose the Empty Space Shrine, you'll become even stronger, said the Empty Space Shrine's envoy. The fire shrine will be more flexible for you. With your innate body, if you choose the demon shrine, you'll become a god, said the demon shrine's envoy. Chapter 1363, The Demon Shrine, An innate immortal body can be extremely powerful, figured Lin Feng. Lin Feng was standing behind the envoy of the demon shrine, but nobody paid attention to him because everyone was staring at the young man on the 9th floor. The demon shrine seemed suitable for that young man who was an expert at fighting since there wasn't a battle shrine. The young man looked calm and serene, his mouth twitched, making all the envoy nervous. I choose the demon shrine, said the young man who had an immortal king-type body. The demon shrine's envoy looked at the young man with his pitch-black eyes and smiled indifferently. The other envoys seemed disappointed, especially the envoy of the empty space shrine. The young man had ended up there by crossing the empty space shrine and now he had chosen the demon shrine. The young man then landed behind the demon shrine's envoy and behind Lin Feng. The demon shrine's envoy turned around and was happy to see that nobody had left his shrine. Those who had gone through the demon shrine probably all studied demon cultivation. The demon shrine didn't lose anyone and they had 1-2 people even. The envoy didn't pay any attention to Lin Feng. His eyes were pitch black, which meant he was probably a demon cultivator. Congratulations and welcome, said the envoy smiling to Lin Feng and the young man, but he was really only looking at the young man. Alright, everybody can go back to their shrine, said the demon shrine's envoy indifferently. He was happy for the king-type body was extremely rare. The future of the demon shrine was going to be bright. Needless to say, the other envoys were quite disappointed. The ice and snow shrine's envoy glanced at Lin Feng now and then. Lin Feng also had a king-type body, the body of a warrior. He also had many special powers, demonic and sword powers mainly. He had tried to inspect Lin Feng's memories, but he couldn't because of the fortune shrine's imprint in his brain. He didn't know exactly what special body Lin Feng had, but was it similar to the immortal king body? He initially wanted to harm Lin Feng, but in the end he thought it wasn't necessary. Yi Renlei was his girlfriend and had risked her life to protect him. If Yi Renlei stayed in the ice and snow shrine, even if Lin Feng became a peerless cultivator, he would never harm the ice and snow shrine. There was another reason for gathering here, we also wanted to see how strong the young cultivators were, said the empty space shrine's envoy. The young cultivators there were incredibly strong, especially those on the 8th floor. If the young man with the immortal king body had joined them, it would have been perfect. He seems unhappy, thought the other envoys. The young people they recruited now were going to determine the future of their shrines. They actually didn't need to compare their strength now though. No need, said the demon shrine's envoy. Maybe we could just give a try, for example, we could choose a few people from the 7th floor, said the fire shrine's envoy smiling. I don't mind choosing one person, said the ice and snow shrine's envoy indifferently. Let's go, said the demon shrine's envoy, turning around and ignoring the others. The empty space shrine's envoy was upset, but he smiled all the same. Lin Feng nodded at Yi Renlei and said to her using telepathy, see you in Ba Huang province. Yi Renlei watched as Lin Feng left. The next time they'd see each other would be in Ba Huang and the 100-day period would be over. There were 15 people in the demon shrine, plus Lin Feng and the young man with the king body, 11 people on the 7th floor, 3 on the 8th and 1 on the 9th. The demon shrine already closed, the other shrines closed as well. What floor were you before? Just go to the same floor. Those who are on the 8th floor can go to the 7th as they wish, those on the 9th floor can go to any floor, said the demon shrine's envoy, nodding at the young man with the king body. He was the only one who could go to the 9th floor. The envoy was about to bring him back to the real demon shrine, so he didn't want to let him get away in the last few seconds. He didn't mind letting the young man go to the 9th floor, but not the others. He wanted to wait and see who was actually qualified to go to the real demon shrine. He needed to see who could pass his tests, then he could give them opportunities. The other shrines were the same, they couldn't let just anyone access their most precious treasures through talent alone. They didn't take risks except if they noticed if someone had a king-type body. "I want to go to the 8th floor," said someone, making the envoy turned around. Lin Feng was the one had spoken up. He hadn't said anything the whole time, he wasn't even angry that the envoy had ignored him the whole time. But of course, Lin Feng still wanted to go and see the 8th floor though. He had come to the demon shrine, so he had to benefit from it to the fullest, otherwise, he would have stayed in the ice and snow shrine. The envoy looked at Lin Feng and smiled, "Show me how good you are at demon cultivation." Lin Feng took a step, looked at the envoy, and then his eyes became even darker. He released demon intent through his eyes. The envoy looked at Lin Feng and nodded, "Alright, I'll create a path from the 7th to the 8th floor. If you pass the test, you'll be able to go to the 8th floor. I'll also leave an imprint in your brains. That way, if you come back to the demon shrine, you can use that imprint to prove that you're members of this shrine. Also, I'll create teleportation portals on the 7th and 8th floor which you can use," said the envoy. Then, he opened his third eye and transmitted imprints to those 15 people's third eyes. Only the young man with the king body didn't receive it. After that, the envoy waved. Then, Lin Feng was suddenly surrounded by a dark aura. "With that aura, nobody will dare attack you. It proves you're a member of the demon shrine," said the envoy to Lin Feng. "Go." Nobody said anything, they simply just entered the shrine. Lin Feng followed and went into the central part of the 7th floor. Chapter 1364, 18 Demon Generals. There were 11 people on the 7th floor. Demon chi was rolling in waves in there and condensing into dark clouds. "What a pure demonic chi," thought Lin Feng, walking forwards. Demon chi continuously washed his body. Boom! In front of Lin Feng, a pair of pitch-black eyes appeared. Aggressive, sharp. "That's a real demon king." The silhouette in front of Lin Feng became even more distinct. A demon king appeared. He was pitch black, but didn't seem alive, just like an illusion. The eyes seemed alive though, Lin Feng could sense how powerful they were. He doesn't seem as strong as the Netherworld Demon Emperor in terms of consciousness, since the Netherworld Demon Emperor's consciousness has existed for thousands of years. But, his determination seems a little bit stronger, more real, thought Lin Feng. The demon king in front of him was a demon emperor. Bzzz, dazzling lights appeared, Lin Feng turned around and saw another pair of eyes filled with demon determination. He moved back, but his eyes already felt sore. The demonic intent was piercing through his eyes, lingering even. Die! Lin Feng released demonic chi and his eyes became even darker. He used his own demonic intent to resist the intent coming from those eyes. "Destroy, destroy," said a voice which resonated. Lin Feng's eyes were suddenly filled with hellish flames as he slowly destroyed those demonic lights assaulting him. Phew, Lin Feng took in a deep breath. He didn't dare look at that demon again, it looked too real. Is that an emperor's power? It seems like he can destroy me only by glancing at me, thought Lin Feng. Cultivation emperors belong to another world. Inside Ba Huang and Jiu Yu, they were considered to be the highest class of beings. The holy city was probably the only place where there were numerous emperors. There aren't only 2 demon emperors, there are many more. Lin Feng realized as he glanced around. There were 18 demon emperor statues around him, and together, they looked like 18 demon generals. The determination of 18 demon general, this is a great place to practice demon cultivation, thought Lin Feng. And this is only the 7th floor. Maybe on the 8th floor, there will be demon kings and great demon emperors. And what about the 9th floor, thought Lin Feng. He was curious. Lin Feng sat down cross-legged and studied the demon general's intent. He raised his head and looked at the 3rd statue, just like the previous ones, its eyes were pitch black and penetrated deeply into Lin Feng's eyes. It also flew throughout his body. That general's intent seems to be demon fire intent. Those eyes contained black flames which could burn Lin Feng if he wasn't careful. Even if a cultivator had managed to go to the 7th floor of the demon shrine, he could still die there. Nobody would care. Lin Feng didn't try to understand the intent. After glancing at the 3rd demon general's intent, he glanced at the 4th one. The 4th one's intent was ice cold. Lin Feng seemed to understand something. All those types of demon intent were different, they weren't pure. There were different types: immortal intent, fire intent, ice intent. Lin Feng came across a terrifying type of demonic intent. It was probably demon death intent. It seemed like it could destroy people in the blink of an eye. I studied the Netherworld Demon Emperor's intent, and it's extremely powerful. I also have the demonic vision, but I don't know how to condense strength in my eyes. Actually, I know several types of abstruse energies. If I could make them fuse together with my demonic intent, like those demon generals, my demon abstruse energies would become even stronger. I could kill people outright. Lin Feng then started studying those 18 demon generals' intent. He was sitting cross-legged and looked like a demon general too. His eyes were pitch black and filled with all kinds of demonic strength. Besides, Lin Feng's goal was to understand the intent of 2 statues in particular, the immortal demon intent and the death demon intent. He wanted his abstruse energies to fuse together with those types of intent. For the 10 other cultivators, everything in that place seemed different, but the demon general statues, which meant that they all had to study them. Kaboom! At that moment, a sound spread in the air. Everybody was surprised and gazed into the distance. Cracks began to appear on the fire demon general statue. His eyes were burning and his entire body was crackling. Then explosions sounded as one statue exploded, leaving 17 left. Then, a pitch-black light illuminated the area, and then disappeared. What was that? Thought Lin Feng. That light looked like the one-page demon scripture. Had the statue exploded because someone understood its intent? Was that why it had disappeared? I need to study faster. Lin Feng was worried, so he continued studying the immortal demon intent. If someone else understood it before him, then that statue might explode as well. Maybe this was related to the envoy's test. However, it wasn't that easy to understand immortal demon intent. It was even harder than understanding the other types of intent. Chapter 1365, Immortality and Death. Immortality allows strength to remain forever, thought Lin Feng. Immortal demonic intent was everlasting, almost impossible to destroy. Demon intent continued burning in his eyes. He could make immortal abstruse energy fuse together with any kind of abstruse energy, he just had to know how to control it. Kaboom! After a long time, another statue exploded. Now, there were only 16 statues left. None of the young cultivators on the 7th floor were weak, some of them were medium-level Zun cultivators who had been practicing demon cultivation for a long time. They probably had a deep knowledge of demonic intent. But Lin Feng didn't care, he focused on his goal. He wanted to understand the immortal demon general statue. After some time, threads of immortal qi appeared around Lin Feng's body and intertwined with the qi in the room. Then, it started rolling in waves, as if the immortal intent couldn't be corroded. Lin Feng was bathing in immortal demonic intent. Lin Feng's eyes were also filled with immortal demonic intent. Kacha, the 3rd statue exploded. Someone else had understood a general's intent. At the same time, pitch-black lights invaded the room and penetrated into that person's brain. When the 5th statue exploded, some cracks appeared on the immortal demon general statue, but it didn't explode, it just cracked. Kacha, Kacha, more and more cracks appeared, but it didn't break. Many of them looked at that statue, seeing how it contained immortal intent. Could it break? Bzzz, lights descended from the sky and penetrated into Lin Feng's 3rd eye. Lin Feng could see an image, it was alternating between a one-paged ancient scripture and a demon statue. In other words, the demon general was printing his one-page demon scriptures in Lin Feng's brain. Lin Feng could sense the immortal demonic intent fusing together with his body. How terrifying, immortal demon energy is fusing together with my body, thought Lin Feng. He had never tried to study immortal abstruse energy before. Maybe, if he had tried to study demonic fire, his fire abstruse energies would have become stronger. But Lin Feng didn't think about that too much, he just continued bathing in the immortal intent, receiving the general's knowledge. It continued for a long time and finally Lin Feng opened his eyes, surrounded by immortal intent. My demon abstruse energy is now level 4 and my immortal abstruse energy immediately reached level 3, thought Lin Feng. He smiled happily. Lin Feng already knew many sorts of abstruse energies, most of them were level 3 or 4. Only his soundwave abstruse energy was level 2, which was his weakest one. Lin Feng wasn't surprised, he knew he was gifted. He could study any type of abstruse energy, but knowing many types of abstruse energies wasn't necessarily the best thing. When they weren't at a high level, leveling them up and combining them was best. Demonic abstruse energy, immortal abstruse energy, soundwave abstruse energy, Lin Feng wanted them so he learned them quickly enough. Lin Feng looked at the other generals, 8 statues had already been broken, leaving 10 left. Lin Feng looked at the statue which contained death demon intent. One glance could kill him. If that was a real emperor, he could kill me in just one glance, thought Lin Feng. He had studied death strength, but only a little bit. He had never studied real death abstruse energies. However, since he knew life abstruse energies, he should have an easier time studying death strength. Everybody had life strength in them. The stronger a cultivator was, the higher their cultivation level was, and the stronger their life strength was. Therefore, Zun cultivators could live thousands of years. However, no matter how strong a cultivator was, their life was slowly replaced by death. Lin Feng wasn't the only one who thought death strength was powerful. Elsewhere in the room, others were also studying the Death Demon General's statue. Death Chi was floating around them. Not everybody could study those energies as they wished though, unlike Lin Feng who could study anything. It wasn't necessarily suitable for them. Lin Feng studied the death intent faster than the immortal intent. It wasn't long before some cracks began to appear on the statue. Kacha! The statue broke a little bit more and death chi penetrated into Lin Feng's brain. Then, death intent invaded the room, allowing some of the others to study it too. Boom! 2 gigantic threads of death intent rose to the sky. Lin Feng wasn't the only one who had understood it, 2 other geniuses had understood it, but Lin Feng had been a bit faster and the statue completely broke apart because of him. Kacha! Kaboom! All the other statues continued breaking apart as the other geniuses studied their energies. Lin Feng was bathing in death intent. He had already understood 2 types of abstruse energies, that was enough. Kacha! When the last statue broke, demonic intent invaded the entire room. A strong wind blew and energies dashed to the skies. Terrifying rumbling sounds spread in the air as a door appeared, it was the path to the 8th floor. Just like the envoy said, thought everyone. That tornado was the path to the 8th floor. At the same time, the room changed. 2 people looked at Lin Feng coldly when they sensed his death energies. But they quickly looked elsewhere. Killing Lin Feng was useless. Besides, they didn't know how strong he was. In there, cultivation level didn't mean much. Chapter 1366, Unparalleled. The 8th floor was probably going to be extraordinary. Boom! A pitch-black silhouette jumped into the tornado. However, demonic energies oppressed him and his face turned deathly pale. The wind was oppressive. It was even more powerful near the entrance of the 8th floor. Rise! That person tried to rise up, but he couldn't make it far before those energies started hurting him. Boom! Demon Chi rotated around his body and he continued trying to go up. The 7th floor had so many great treasures, so the 8th floor would be even better. He took 4 steps, only 3 away from reaching the entrance, but he couldn't continue. Rumbling sounds appeared as he was propelled downwards and crashed onto the ground. Phew, that person took a deep breath and pulled a long face. He could have died. I'm definitely going to get to the 8th floor, thought that cultivator, annoyed. He tried again, but this time, he was propelled even farther away. It seemed like they only had one opportunity. How could a demon be oppressed, said a cultivator coldly. He glanced at the one who had failed and jumped into the wind. He released demonic energies, but once he sensed that wind, his facial expression changed drastically. However, he continued rising up. After 3 steps, he realized how powerful the wind was. His body almost exploded, but he had only managed to take 4 steps. The other demonic cultivators were staring at him, looking a little concerned. 2 people had failed, and they only had 1 chance. The 3rd and the 4th failed too, only 4 steps as well. The 5th one finally managed to take 5 steps, but then came back down. The 8th person took 6 steps, amazing everybody. 1 more step and he'd be on the 8th floor. Boom boom. That cultivator suddenly crashed onto the ground and coughed up blood. He looked furious. 1 more step. What a pity. He had failed, but he could be proud of himself still. 3 people were left. They seemed to be practicing cultivation though. They were studying the last 3 statues. Even after receiving the transmissions from the statues, they could continue studying, but it wasn't as efficient. Finally, someone opened his eyes. He jumped into the tornado, groaned furiously, and took 6 steps. 1 more step and it'd be the 8th floor, but that last step was difficult. Arg! That person raised his head and shouted and demonic chi dashed to the skies. His body felt like it was going to explode. His body turned red, but he continued and made great efforts. However, when he reached the 8th floor, a demon roared furiously. The ground quaked and that cultivator was violently propelled back to their level. He had failed. He sat down cross-legged and healed himself. Nobody dared underestimate him though, for he had almost succeeded. The 10th person made 6 steps and failed again. The crowd felt relieved. They weren't weak, it was just that the wind was too terrifying. They were on the 7th floor for a reason. The 3 people on the 8th floor were incredibly strong. Of course, they would catch up someday, they just had to persevere. 1 person left, thought the group, looking at Lin Feng. He was bathing in death chi, so no one wanted to get close to him. He had left the ice and snow shrine and had come to the demon shrine. Surprisingly, he was an incredible demon cultivator who understood death intent. That death intent contains death abstruse energy, level 3 even. With that, he could kill cultivators of the first Zun Chi layer in the blink of an eye, thought some of the others. 2 people had tried to study it before, but they had failed because Lin Feng had been faster than them. Humph, 2 cultivators groaned and looked at Lin Feng. Bzzz, at that moment, Lin Feng opened his eyes and death intent projected outwards. He turned around, his eyes were pitch black as he fixedly stared at those 2 people. Tap, tap, the 2 cultivators took steps backwards. Quaking sounds appeared as the one who had looked at Lin Feng in a cold way before, sensed that his life was being taken. But that was just a sensation, it had only lasted for a few seconds. Lin Feng glanced at them in a calm way before he turned his attention to the tornado. Even he didn't say anything, he knew that the others there could kill him. 8th floor. Lin Feng's eyes twinkled. That tornado was the only way to the 8th floor and there was only one chance. Lin Feng didn't hesitate as he jumped into the tornado. He sensed the demonic chi oppressing him as well as the energies from outside the tornado. When I went to Tiantai, I was weaker and had only broken through to the Tian Chi layer. Now that I've broken through to the Zun Chi layer, how could a trivial wind prevent me from moving, thought Lin Feng, feeling determined. Even though he still had some powers he wasn't aware of, in a few years, he had become a lot stronger and more confident in himself. Boom! Lin Feng rose up in the air. The space was distorted as Lin Feng made 3 steps, the energies got more intense which step. Lin Feng took a deep breath and made another step. Lin Feng raised his head and stared at the top with his pitch-black eyes. Arg! Lin Feng shouted furiously as he made the 6th step. One more step and he'd succeed. Slash, slash, his body felt like it was going to explode. Blood splashed everywhere as Lin Feng was wounded. However, he refused to fail even if he ended up seriously injured. As long as he didn't die, it didn't matter. Arg! Lin Feng shouted furiously. Now, Dragon Chance hummed as his 9-headed dragon appeared. Lin Feng raised his foot to make the 7th step. Swallow, shouted Lin Feng. His 9 dragon heads absorbed the powerful demonic qi. Rise! Lin Feng raised his foot. He couldn't die, he had to succeed, no matter what. Boom boom. Lin Feng suddenly disappeared, leaving the 10 others in awe. The cultivator who came from the ice and snow shrine had managed to make it to the 8th floor. He had passed the test while they had failed. That cultivator of the 2nd Zun Qi layer had almost died. He was wounded, blood had splashed everywhere, his skin, his bones, his organs felt sore, but he didn't back down. Boom! Lin Feng arrived on the 8th floor. He immediately released life energies to recover. After that passage to the 8th floor, his demonic abstruse energy was now level 5 and he had reached the top of the 2nd Zun Qi layer. Lin Feng was defying the laws of cultivation. Chapter 1367, 4 Demon Kings, Demon Shrine, 8th floor. Lin Feng looked around and saw 3 other people. They were sitting cross-legged in different corners of the room. They were staring at the walls and demon energies were flowing throughout their bodies. That's, Lin Feng looked at the walls. There were dazzling picture scrolls everywhere, and demon energies were continuously flowing from them. 4 ancient books. Lin Feng's heart started racing as he released his godly awareness to inspect them. All those picture scrolls had demon kings on them. Demon kings. Lin Feng inspected the picture scroll in front of him. The image became even more distinct, but he had a strange sensation though. It was as if his godly awareness couldn't see the demon king clearly. I'm on the 8th floor, so the demon kings have to be stronger than the demon generals on the 7th floor. Maybe those demon kings are actually demon emperors, or even great emperors, thought Lin Feng excited. What were those 12 shrines exactly? Lin Feng sat down cross-legged and released his celestial book spirit. He sat down in his own demonic territory and then his eyes became even darker. The picture scroll appeared in front of him, energies pierced through his eyes and into his brain. Slash, slash, Lin Feng suddenly coughed up blood. He lowered his head and took in a deep breath. It felt like he was turning into a demon. How terrifying, thought Lin Feng. His spirit helped him see things more clearly, but as soon as he saw the Demon King more clearly, a gigantic person 100 meters tall appeared, seemingly capable of crushing entire populations. Lin Feng saw him and instantly thought he was going to die. He had had to stop looking at it suddenly. A few more seconds and he would have died. A demon king, his consciousness can turn into a gigantic town and kill millions of people, thought Lin Feng. He had seen a gigantic city and there were ruins even. Was that the holy city? Whispered Lin Feng. He now understood that he couldn't always use his spirit to study things. On the 7th and 8th floors, the demons were terrifying and could injure him or even kill him if he inspected them too closely. That book was an insane demon. What about the other 3? Lin Feng turned around and looked at the other picture scrolls. His eyes became pitch black again as he inspected them. He had the same sensation as before. However, without using his spirit, he couldn't know what they were. I first need to understand what those demon kings are and then I will choose which one I am interested in, thought Lin Feng. There were 4 scrolls and Lin Feng wasn't sure how many he could study. So, he had to find out what they were first and then he'd choose the one he wanted the most. Lin Feng looked at the second picture scroll and inspected it with his celestial book spirit. When he checked it, quaking sounds quickly ensued and blood splashed. His face turned deathly pale. A glance can destroy the earth and sky, thought Lin Feng. He had observed the landscape and thought the earth and sky were going to collapse. Lin Feng had had to break his connection to that world just to retreat. Even emperors could have been destroyed by those energies. Lin Feng suddenly felt cold. He stopped studying that part of the wall. Someone who was studying that part of the wall opened his eyes and looked at Lin Feng in a cold way. "I'm so sorry, I didn't want to offend you," said Lin Feng, nodding and apologizing. He had interrupted someone while he was cultivating. Lin Feng would have been furious too if someone had done that to him. That person looked at Lin Feng for a few seconds and then started practicing again. He had no time to waste. Lin Feng moved back and looked at the picture scroll. Then he used his spirit and inspected it. There was a demon king, the space was distorted, the earth and sky seemed like they were going to collapse, everybody had died in that landscape, their blood staining the ground. Lin Feng had the impression his organs were going to explode, it looked so real. One shout and the world can collapse. What a terrifying cultivator, probably a great demon emperor, thought Lin Feng. Those demon emperors were all great emperors. If someday he became that strong, he'd be able to destroy cultivation emperors just by glancing at them. Ba Huang and Jiu Yu would just be playgrounds for him. Lin Feng released his own demonic qi, even more determined to become a strong cultivator. Since he had decided to practice demon cultivation, he wished he would become a great demon emperor. Of course, he wasn't going to give up his other types of cultivation. There's the 4th picture scroll as well. Then, Lin Feng looked at the last picture scroll using his spirit. This time, he saw a demon king swallow the sky. He looked furious as did so. Which one should I study first, thought Lin Feng. He looked at the first one, the blurry picture. It was an aggressive and almighty demon king who was 100 meters tall. Lin Feng sat down cross-legged and studied it. Luckily for him, the 3 others in the room were studying the other picture scrolls, so he was the only one studying that picture scroll. He studied the characters written on the picture scroll and words floated around his brain. Just like Lin Feng had thought, those were demonic scriptures, but different ones. Lights surrounded Lin Feng, and demonic energies flowed around his body. Dark clouds appeared as a silhouette slowly condensed, becoming bigger and bigger. Lin Feng studied the picture scroll, but didn't realize that a demon was slowly appearing behind him. Something happened behind the 3 others as well. A sky-absorbing demon appeared behind one of the other cultivators, and it was blurry as well. The one who was studying the picture scroll with the terrifying demon vision, suddenly saw something, and sharp lights twinkled in his eyes. Behind the one who was studying the demon with the terrifying voice, nothing appeared, but strange sounds surrounded him. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.